Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm SuzetteSpeaks, and I'm going to talk to you about the newly released video of the brutal beating of the late Mr. Tyree Nichols. If you haven't heard, there has been a few police videos that are now available to the public, and I know today's discussion will be a rough one for many of you. I am going to share some of my thoughts on what I saw. I did watch them. It was very, very difficult to say the least. When I look around and I see some of the reactions, I thought it would just be a good time to open up my space here on YouTube to find out what you guys are thinking and how you're reacting to what you saw on this video. If you don't know about this case, I'm going to update you on what the latest is. If you're new to the channel, welcome. It's time to kind of get into some deep discussion, and I want to thank you so much already for joining me. We are being co-hosted today as we are on Saturdays. I go live around 12-ish. Jamaicans.com is my co-sponsor. Jamaicans.com Facebook page allows me to simulcast each and every Saturday. So welcome to those watching on the Facebook side, on the Suzette Speaks Facebook as well as here on YouTube. Again, 5 police officers who all happen to be African American are charged with second-degree murder, along with other charges in the beating death of Mr. Tyree Nichols. This video that has come up, or major networks played it last night on the air. I've been watching some more of it today. It is something that I think that is very triggering for many, because we, as those of us who live in the United States, who have been seeing this over and over and in periodic intervals, it's nothing new, but it also is very traumatizing. I want to first and foremost offer my prayers and condolences to his family. His mother has been and stepfather have been on many news outlets over the last week or so, as we have prepared to see this very damning video. And we're going to do some still shots. I'm not going to show the video, y'all. There are so many things I want to say about it. I first and foremost want to humanize Mr. Nichols. He is a real person from a real place with a real family. He loves skateboarding. He was living in Sacramento, California before he moved to Memphis. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what I heard him say on the video, based on maybe not really understanding how threatened his life really was in the moments right before the police did what they did, which was to brutally assault him for over 3 minutes. He was a free spirit. His family and friends say he moved to the beat of his own drum. He was a dad. He had a 4-year-old child, and he was working for FedEx. And there are so many parts of this case that really bothered me in terms of how the police are handling people in so-called traffic stops. And there were some disputes about whether or not he should have been pulled over in the first place. The chief of the Memphis Police Department, she has also said publicly that when looking at other video, where Tyree Nichols' video of his car driving that evening of the fateful night, they didn't see him driving recklessly. They didn't see him swerving or seemingly driving under the influence. So sometimes even the very premise that we're hearing from law enforcement for the reason that they are pulling a person over doesn't seem to hold water. And this one, again, is a case where, again, some people are going to call it bad apples. We know that there are tons of police officers that are doing their job and doing them well. But here we are yet again, another soul lost, another hashtag, and another sad and despondent family that are devastated by the loss of their loved one at the hands of law enforcement. Now, does it matter that the 5 officers are African American? I'm going to ask you what you think about that. Can a crime still be racially motivated even though the officers happen to be Black? We're going to talk a little bit about it, but we're going to talk about this man in his fullness. Again, he was a human being that deserved to live. He would not have, again, this tragedy should not have happened, and he would not have been in this circumstance had it not been for the officer's behavior. It's so weird sometimes, guys, when I watch these cases. I look at it and it seems like the person who's the victim all of a sudden becomes the person who's on trial. And so we want to be very clear. He was cooperative, and we're going to talk about what I saw on the video. He was cooperative. He was not raising his voice. He was trying to understand what the heck was going on. As you see him in the first encounter, there were 2. When the officers pulled him out of his car, he was very much confused. Mr. Nichols was like, "Why are you arresting me? What did I do? What did I do?" is what he kept asking. What did I do? So this is an open mic show. For those of you who are new, my name is Suzette Speaks. This is my platform here. I try to bring you interesting discussions on today's hot topics, social media trends, politics, and other trending stories. So today is your a chance to tell me what you think. I'm going to drop the link, which means you can call in. You don't have to show your face. You can just come on up in the discussion here on my panel. Tell me what you think about the newly released video. Again, today's discussion may be a bit rough for some people. Thank you so much. We're going to go over the facts in just a minute. Let me just go ahead and welcome everybody. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you being here, all those who are subscribed to the channel. If you're not, go ahead and take a moment and subscribe. We are going to, again, get into some of the details of the case, what we know so far. I do anticipate that a lot more will come out as the days and weeks progress. Again, unfortunately, in the American justice system, sometimes the hands of justice, or they say the wheels of justice, turn very slowly. So although we would want a swift resolution, I will say in this case, as one of the attorneys for the family has mentioned, Mr. Ben Crump has said, this has been one of the swiftest. Within about 20 days, has there been an arrests, and video release. In many other cases we've seen, like a Breonna Taylor, Freddie Gray, the list goes on. It has taken quite some time for arrests to be made and for video to be released to the public. But this has happened at a very speedy rate here in this case in Memphis. Why is that? There are some that contend that there are police officers that happen to be African American. So therefore, there are, what should I say, differences with how the case is being handled. Do you think it could be a result of the perpetrators not being white? I don't know if I agree with that contention, but there are many who have argued, and I've seen it all over social media, that this case seems to be being handled in a much more transparent way. And therefore, we've seen peaceful demonstrations thus far. I think that was another part of this case that really irked me, which was how much the news was boosting it up as if we were going to have communities around the country burnt down as a result of this video. But so far, we have seen peaceful protests, and I think that is a result of a lot more transparency when it comes to what happened. So what happened, guys? All right, so if you're new to the show, go ahead and hit the like button. If you're watching again on Facebook, thanks for being here. Again, Suzette Speaks here, talking about the Tyree Nichols case. Hello, Doug. Thank you so much for being here, one of my fantastic moderators. Thank you. The world class is in the building. Great to see you, bro. Yes, gotta get spruced up here for the YouTube. You know how it goes. Sandy B. Law, another fantastic content creator, is in the building. Good to see you, sis. She says salute to the chat. Glad to have you in this discussion. Sandy B., if you have an opportunity to come up, you're more than welcome. My other lady lawyer, also from Miami here. And I like to talk about cases again, but this one is a rough one, y'all. We're going to see what happened on some of the video. I took a couple still shots. I'm not going to show the videos. There are multiple videos because this is what's interesting, y'all. There were body cameras that were switched on for some officers and some that weren't. There were more than 5 people on the scene while this poor young man, 29-year-old, was basically dying in front of everyone. There were firefighters that were there. There were also additional sheriff's deputies that were on site. There were tons of people there, even though we have 5, I say tons, but you know I'm being kind of exaggerative there, but there were many other people on the scene. And I'm wondering also if they may be charged at a later time for failing to render aid, y'all. That's why we have a second-degree murder charge here, because maybe they did not, or the prosecutor could not see how he could or she could convince a jury that it was premeditated. But once you fail to render aid after kicking somebody in the head several times, a man who was handcuffed on the ground and compliant, a man who could not defend himself. After you've done that several times and beat him up to the point where, and I'll show the picture, I'm going to show the picture of what his parents took in the hospital, to where his brain swole up. He had a broken neck, nose contorted. Mother describes his neck as so swollen it was bursting. The skin on his neck was bursting. So when you have this type of egregious and barbaric encounter with police. How do we explain this? And these gentlemen, I'll call them now. Let me bring their picture up because we got to talk about them in terms of what their special unit was supposed to be doing, called the Scorpion Unit on the Memphis Police Department squad. Right? Memphis has one of the highest murder rates per capita in the country. All right. If anybody's watching from Memphis, you're welcome to come up. So they had special forces, special squads within the police force that were proactively seeking out people who may be committing a crime. Now, mind you, Tyree Nichols was not, as we've seen on the video so far, in violation of any crime. According to officers, these 5 and others, because I saw what I saw on when it first played at, I think it was 6 Central, 7 Eastern. I caught it while Joy Ann Reid on MSNBC was playing the video live as it was being released. And one of the body cameras are actually of a white officer who was on the scene on the first location, which was during a traffic stop. So this person was recording while other officers had gathered around and pulled Tyree Nichols out of his car because they said he was driving erratically. So again, the police chief has now countered some of those allegations, saying she has seen on other street videos. They have what they call sky cameras on top of telephone poles in Memphis, where you can see the street views of the roads, and there was no evidence so far as she has seen that he was actually driving erratically. So the premise for the stop itself is questionable. But upon coming upon Mr. Nichols' vehicle, not everybody's body camera was activated. We're going to talk about it. There are parts of the video, again, from the initial stop to where they found him again. They chased him and located him again. We're going to talk about how they found him. It happened at 2 separate locations. An initial stop to where they tried to pin him on the ground. 5 men tried to pin this one guy who was between 140 and 150 pounds on the ground, Mr. Nichols. He suffers from gastrointestinal disease, his mom said, to where he has Crohn's, and he struggles as a 6'3" man to gain weight. So Mr. Nichols weighed between 140 and 150, according to reports. At least 2 of the police officers were over 200 pounds. And I'm looking at the video and I'm seeing 5 individuals trying to hold down this one individual. The first stop was contentious. Again, he keeps turning around, looking up at the officers. We're doing too much right now, guys. What you doing? He's trying to have a conversation. If you see the video, guys, that first video of the body camera from the white police officer on the scene, watch it. Look at his mindset. He's not resisting. He's trying to figure out why the heck is he being stopped. And in his mind, and I was talking to my friend guy earlier today, and I was like, I don't think in his mind he understood the danger he was in. He was new, figuratively speaking, relatively speaking, to Memphis. He had just moved out there from Sacramento, California, 2 different environments, y'all. So when he was stopped, he was trying to reason with people that weren't being reasonable. They had deployed pepper spray. They had deployed tasers on him during that initial traffic stop. They're commanding him, get on the ground, get on your belly, get on your ground. 5 of them. Mr. Nichols eventually breaks loose and runs away, saying, I just want to go home. But they find him again. And we're going to get to the second half. That's where the brutality begins, or continues, I should say, in the rawest form, right? In this first interaction, they're deploying pepper spray such that it gets into their own eyes. You could see on this body camera that there is a guy, an officer, who's like rubbing his eyes because messed up and messed around and sprayed that stuff in his own face, or maybe the wind blew it into his own face. So much happened on that chaotic scene. Let's go over some of the facts, y'all. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I see you. Geechee Dan says this is normal cop behavior, and the only reason why they fired is because they're black. If they were white, these cops would be right. I hear you. Thank you for your opinion. I appreciate it. This is live, and you can voice your opinion in the chat, and I'm going to drop the link. Thank you, Andrew, for being here. Andrew says, When is a Black person involved on the other side of law enforcement and commit to the wrong, they get the quickest punishment. People have noticed that, y'all. People are commenting on this. Not to say they shouldn't be held accountable, but the swiftness, we don't hear any type of defense from the police union or other benevolent associations that are typically going to offer some type of explanation or come out, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. You don't even see that in their case. Thank you, Geechee Dan. I see you here. You say also racism. Let me bring that up. Also racism, because I guarantee you they never did this to anybody white. This is another part of the story, y'all, because people were saying, oh, people in Memphis were in danger if these 5 people were on the force. No, I don't know if they were equally in danger. I don't think they would have done this to a white motorist. I just don't see that. There were liberties taken that I don't see that happening to a driver that was white. You can have a difference of opinion, but I think there is some I don't think that would have even happened. Sandy B. Law says, I'm torn. On the one half, swift response reminds me of how easy it is to shine a light when the perpetrators are Black. On the other hand, the swift response should be the standard. And I've seen Mr. Crump, Benjamin Crump, the attorney, one of the attorneys for the family, has said this should be a blueprint every single time, not just if the officers happen to be Black. But it is a very scary video, y'all, and I'm not going to play it here. I told you. Let me see this comment here. Yes, there were blurred videos. I noticed that the cameras immediately. I never showed the body cam of the cops who beat him. Yes, some of the cops, and I think I've seen several reports that say 2 or 3 did not have on body cameras, or at least did not have their body cameras activated. Why do you think that is? Thank God for the street camera. Thank God for the street camera on the pole, mounted on a telephone pole that had this whole incident in full view. We can't hear sound. We can't hear sound, but you can see exactly, once it's zoomed in, you can see exactly what's happening. And it was brutal. So I'm going to go over a few facts, guys. Go ahead and hit the like button as you come in. Hey, the EBH Black Show says, are cops trained to step in when this is the thing. This is the thing. Great point. Are cops trained to step in when other cops are being unreasonable? Who's going to go against the fraternity in real time? This is a huge point I've seen being made, where we're looking at it as if the bystander violation, the duty to intervene, the duty to render aid. We've seen this in several cases in the past as well. Thinking about the George Floyd case and Derek Chauvin, who was convicted for his heinous act and putting the knee on George Floyd's neck. But there were other police officers standing around, those who participated and those who were on the sidelines. And I think sometimes we have to be really honest that there is some, and again, with the thousands, I think I read 13,000 or so police departments across the country, 100,000 police officers. We have several who want to do the right thing, but there is also a code of conduct that is unspoken rule that you don't cross the line when it comes to others who might be violating we'll call it the civil rights, the human rights of another human being. You don't tattle, you don't snitch. There's cases where officers who have told or who did intervene call for backup, and backup in certain police departments don't show up because of what they did in terms of violating what they call the blue line, right? The brotherhood. So this type of culture can exist, not in every police department, not in across the country. This is the thing. We don't have any national standards. The federal government has not passed any legislation when it comes to the type of training, when it comes to a database. Now, I've just read that there is a database that has now been created, private group, private individual. I think it's called like the Lewis database. Correct me if I'm wrong, where they are trying to compile the names of officers who violate policy and law when it comes to their behavior while on duty. And so there has been a trend in our country where there can be officers, unfortunately, the bad apples, who can just move to another state and go get on another force, right? And they're not necessarily going to do as thorough of a background check as needed, so that if they had violations on one police department in one state, they could just pick up and move without a real record, an accurate depiction of what they were like on the force. This has happened a lot. In the case down here, musician Corey Jones, rest in peace, Corey Jones, was pulled over. Actually, Corey Jones had a broken tire on the side of the road and an unmarked, and we're going to talk about several of the vehicles in this case. They were not marked police cars. These were plain clothes, some of them. It is a real issue across the board. So let's talk about what happened, y'all. So Tyree Nichols passed away January 10th. That was 3 days after he was stopped by Memphis police officers. We know that the U.S. Justice Department, thank goodness, and the FBI have both launched civil rights investigations into the death of Mr. Nichols. We also know 5 of the officers have been fired and are accused of violating the department's use of force, among other, again, the highest charge being second-degree murder. The Nichols family saw this video. The mother has refused to. His mom and stepdad, I think his stepdad did watch it before it was released just yesterday. Last night, 6 p.m. Central. And the Nichols family attorney, after seeing the video, said it was reminiscent of Rodney King, if y'all can go back that far, if you know who that is. These are the gentlemen, the former Memphis police officers who have been charged. Now, again, I saw other people on the scene, y'all, who failed to render aid. I saw other people on the scene. So it is shocking to some, but maybe not to everybody, that they also happen to be African American and behave this way in violation of not only policy but law and then human rights. I'm going to read their names. Let me open up and read their names so we know who we're talking about here, because it was so heinous that we have to acknowledge, they happen to be African American. Does that make a difference to you? And why it played out the way it did so far? From left to right, we have Demetrius Haley, Desmond Mills Jr., Emmett Martin III, Justin Smith, and Tadarius Bean. All are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And they are all out on bail. All have been released until their first hearing. It's rough, y'all. It's rough to have to talk about it from that perspective. But I don't think the color of the officers make any difference in this case. I think it was personal because they had to chase him after he got away from the first scene where the initial traffic stop took place and he ran. Oh no. You could even hear on the video, allegedly, of that same white police officer who I said that was the first video that came out. He said on the video, "I hope they stomp him." You could hear him say that allegedly on the video. So it leads me to believe, and many who have been listening and trying to piece the different videos, because there are multiple videos, y'all, together. Is this a normal part of the culture for the Memphis PD? That it's retaliatory if you are going to run or if you're going to in any other way embarrass them, or they're going to let you have it. And many people talk about that. I've heard that said before. Hey, Andre, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Hope all is well. Let me see what you'll have to say in the chat. Leave your comments, you guys. Listen, Doug says, what amazes me is hearing you're resisting while being pepper sprayed and beaten as if you're supposed to remain still despite what it said. Exactly. Because his initial, this is what I'm trying to get at, Doug. His initial reaction is literally, why are y'all doing this? Y'all doing too much. He's saying it like kind of like in a very even tone voice. He never raises his voice on the tape. The initial stop, he's like, y'all doing too much. What did I do? He's really at a loss. He's trying to figure out, what in the world did I do? He's lost. Right? And then all of a sudden it's like pop, 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 pop. And he's like, I want to go home. And he was on his way home. That is the craziest part. He leaves his car, y'all, and he begins to run away. They can't catch him. Out of breath. Now you see on the body cameras, a couple other the body cameras that were on, huffing and puffing. Can't catch him. He hit it down the road. He's headed to his mom's house. He lived with his mom and his stepdad. Now remember, he had just moved recently from Sacramento, California to Memphis, Tennessee. On his way, boy, I wish he had kept running because he was almost there. They said he was between 80 yards and 100 yards from where his mom lived, the house where he lived with his mom and stepdad, when they found him again. There are reports, this is alleged, cannot confirm, there are reports that what they used was where he left his car, they ran his plate, his license plate, to see the registered address. So they knew where he was headed. That's what some are reporting. It's unconfirmed. This is alleged allegations that the cops at the first altercation where he was stopped allegedly for driving erratically, pulled his address from his plate, ran the plate of the car to see who he was, found out where he lived, and therefore knew the proximity of where he was heading. That's how they found him. Y'all hit the like button. We're doing work over here today. Talking about the horrific videos that have recently come out where now 5 African-American police department, former Memphis Police Department officers have now been charged with the most severe of the charges being second-degree murder. It is shocking. It's inhumane what they did to this man. This man was on his way to his mom's house, just driving, and became their target. Doug, thank you for that. Let me see. I may disagree with this. Geechee Dan says, I don't like Crump, Attorney Benjamin Crump. Okay. All he gets you is money, never justice. Well, the thing is, there are 2 type of lawsuits, y'all. There's a civil suit, 2 individuals, and then there's a criminal case, prosecution, where the state is saying you broke our laws on behalf of the people of the state of Tennessee, right? It's 2 different cases, 2 different trials, 2 different, is apples and oranges. So getting a civil case, winning a civil case is to win damages, which usually comes in the form of money. How do you replace a life? What values of a life? Usually the only thing you can get in those cases in the civil side, right? It's 2 individuals or a company suing one another for damages, for liability or lack of duty of care. There's tons of legal words coming in my head. Malfeasance. Can't get too deep, y'all. But when you have breached a duty to do your job, Memphis Police Department, individual officers, but they are protected, y'all. You can't sue an individual officer. They have immunity. We're going to talk about that. Yes. Hey, out here trucking. Jeremy, big up yourself. Says, are these officers being charged? Does anyone think they will do jail time? This is a big issue because it's one victory to get a charge filed. This is the mugshots, y'all. This is what they look like now. These are the arresting photographs of this 5 that have been charged, innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty. They've all lawyered up. They've been released on bail. All allegations are just that, alleged. Nothing has been proven. They will have their day to prove their side and to, hey, I don't know what they're going to say, but to make their arguments as to why some are even arguing already through their attorneys that they didn't do as much as the others. They're less culpable. They weren't involved in the kicking or the striking with the baton and all this. It's a lot, y'all. Yes, they've been charged, though, is to answer your question, Jeremy. Yes, Marlon, fellow attorney here in Miami, where is the humanity is the real reason. I am just so appalled and disgusted. It's hard to kind of find words when I was watching. I stayed up till 1:30 in the morning, y'all. Forgive me for my tardiness, but I just couldn't. I was like, Father, what has happened here? Let me try to digest what I see. Because some of the video initially was so grainy and they had it far because, again, it was a sky camera, guys. A camera that was way up on a pole in a neighborhood that caught it all. Thank God that camera was there because it would have been a big cover up. In my opinion, somebody would have been lying and said what happened and what he did, which he did not do clearly. Defenseless. Second stop. Let's get to the second stop. He runs, tries to get to his house. God only knew. He was this feet away, 80 yards or so away from his house before they find him again. This is the result. This is the result. This has been played on the news. This is the result. This is the result. His mom saw him in the hospital like this. This is the result. Swollen beyond recognition. Face, head, contusions, neck bust open. Nose swollen into a letter S. Never opened his eyes again. Jesus. In the mom's statements she has been making, she's been on the news, baby, almost all week. She said the police had called her, and I'm paraphrasing, Miss Wells. She remarried, named Wells. The police had called her, knocked on her door that morning after the incident. You know what, Tyree Nichols? Yes, I do. He's been arrested. Been arrested for what? She's shocked. Well, he's in the hospital. He's getting medical care, and as soon as he comes out, he'll be booked for his crime. So she had no idea initially how bad he was. Then a doctor called her and was like, Miss Wells, Tyree's mom, why aren't you here? She's like, well, the police told me he was in the hospital, but then he'd be released and then he was going to be booked. He was like, no. He's gone into cardiac arrest. Like, she had no clue how serious it was. Her and her husband go down to the hospital to see what I just showed y'all. She said basically she saw her son, but her son was already gone. 3 days he was in the hospital before he passed. It's sickening. So they didn't even identify to her how serious the matter it was when they called her. It was a doctor that called her and told her, come down here now. It was mind-blowing, she said, when she walked in and saw her son. Basically gone already, not responsive. Can you imagine? You go from hearing, oh, it's a traffic stop, to that. It's sad. It's really sick. Really sick. Lisa, thank you for your comment, says, and I'll translate the patois. Once them put on that blue uniform, them switch off them humanity. I think it's very self-explanatory that if you're not careful, because people will say having a more diverse police force will help in preventing things like this. But here we had a diversity, but they did not see this man as human. It seemed very personal. So we are at the point where they, yes, have been charged. All the former Memphis police officers are now out on bond after posting bond on Friday morning, according to NBC News. So they are free before their pretrial. This is who I feel sorry for, y'all, the parents. who has to sit and go through press conference after, because they have to do it. This is the hard part. Shout out to the family of the person I interviewed just a couple weeks back, Tyler Lewis. His family has to be doing the same thing. Can you imagine having to talk about this over and over and over again? Relive it over and over and over again, just because you have to keep his name out there. You do not want to lose the momentum. But it's re-traumatizing every time. Miss Ravon Wells and her son and her husband constantly having to be out in front of cameras, telling them the story. And she said she refused to watch it. She sat in the room where the DA said everybody could watch it before it was released. And she said she had to get up. Soon as the first part, because there's several videos, soon as the first part was coming on, she was like, I can't watch this. And her husband stayed and watched it. They are such brave. They're mourning. In between all of their mourning, they have to be on TV, doing press conference after press conference, interview after interview to talk about this sick tragedy. It's not even a tragedy. It's like he was stomped out. Call it what it is. And I just cannot even imagine her. She has not even had a chance to really mourn what happened to her son. They've been on all week. Geechee Dan says it was bad, but Rodney King was worse. Rodney King was nonstop. This one was pause, but it was still. They propped him up on the side of a police car, listlessly, couldn't hold up himself. Feet wasn't moving. They for 20 odd minutes did not render aid. This is my problem. This is why maybe a couple more people got fired. But are they culpable? You had this man up against a police car looking like could not respond, begging. His last cries was for his mommy. I want to go home. I want my mom. And he was yelling out mom because he knew he was like hoping he was in range so that she could hear him. It is a frightening state of affairs, y'all. This is still happening. Is it the training? Y'all telling me it's not the training. Is it the recruitment? Do they need mental health evaluations for officers on a regular basis? Do we need federal standards across the board? A federal registry for officers who are not living up to the oath that they're supposed to, and the credo they're supposed to live up to. Some want to see an end of qualified immunity. I don't know how y'all feel, man. There are a lot of solutions, though. This is true, Jeremy. Rodney King lived through that hellish beating. This man wasn't able to live. Hey, Damon. Good to see you, brother. Glad to have you. Thanks for watching, brother. Y'all hit the like button. Glad you're here. One of my folks who came over from my show Wednesdays when I'm on with Faraji Muhammad on Roland Martin Network. And shout out to Roland Martin. He just hit 1 million subs. Not to digress. Shout out to brother Roland. He's had an amazing week, though, covering the Bethune-Cookman and Ed Reed story. Me and Faraji had an awesome show this past Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I'm over there on Roland Martin from 3 to 5. Shout out to Faraji and the culture crew. Thank you for being here, Damon. Geechee Dan says, you don't think color made a difference? You tripping. Color always makes a difference. Seeing black officers, the hurt is deeper. See you, Lisa. Thank you. EBH Black Show says, I teach my son. This is the thing, y'all. Go ahead. Let me read your comment, and then let me just tell you what I observed. I teach my son, if when trying to be detained by police, this is not the time to debate innocence. This is what I think poor Tyree Nichols did not understand. Being a surfer, he's not going to say surfer. He's a skateboard kid. I'm going to show you some pictures. They keep saying he loves skateboarding and sunsets. This is like a kid who is a free spirit. I don't think he understood the danger he was in when they ran up on him. I don't think he understood. He's a California kid in Memphis. I say kid, but grew up in a different environment. As a man, 29 years old in Memphis, I don't think he understood that what was happening was really a life and death situation from the jump. I agree with you. The EBH Black Show. Chances of survival increases if you just comply, don't debate. That's where lawyers are for. You comply and get your lawyer later. It is so dangerous. I don't think from his body and tone of voice, calm, his demeanor, especially at the first stop, he was not seeing them as like about to delete him. He's like, yo, y'all doing a lot right now. Even voice. Y'all doing a lot right now. What did I do? Yo, what did I do? Easy voice, not a screaming, oh my God. I don't think he understood the type of danger he was in from the jump. It hurts me because I was like, this man he didn't understand what was happening to the depth that it happened. Miss Globe Girl, how are you, sis? Says, I refuse to be caught up in the mindset that swift action was only because the cops are Black. Okay, thank you for your opinion. She says, it doesn't matter. The issue here is that they viciously murdered a man in cold blood. Stay focused on the real issue. Thank you for your opinion, sis. Woo, Carl says, Black cops can be worse than white ones sometimes. Oh my goodness. He calls them, oh Lord, graham crackers. Okay, his words, not mine. Thank you for your opinion. But yeah, there are studies that are done that some of the behaviors don't change, especially when the victim is Black. No matter if the cop is white or if the cop is Black, they have the same general attitude towards that type of victim. Race-based studies have been done that way. So I think this might surprise some people, but for many, it does not. Lisa, that's why I said I'm going to talk about that, because there's a phenomenon called, and that's why I'm going to put it up now. I want to humanize him, y'all, because he was a real person. But there is a phenomenon I read about, like this secondhand trauma that we're all experiencing when we go through this. Did I put a slide up for it? I hope I did. I didn't put a slide for it. The phenomenon is called, and it's a doctor of psychology that posted it, and I'm going to tell you his name, and I'm just going to read the quote. It was posted, I think I saw it on Viola Davis's page. Shout out to Viola Davis, and I'm going to use some of the stuff that she shared now. It was by Twitter account Dr. Jason Nichols. Says research shows that Black folks suffer PTSD from watching videos of Blacks being deleted by police. It's a phenomenon called, and it's the first time I heard this, look this up, it's called linked fate. Linked fate. Where we see ourselves and loved ones in the place of the victim. Be careful watching the Tyree Nichols videos. Protect your mind. Sis, so many people feel that. So many linked fate is a real thing. Thank you, Andrew. The problem was he was in fear of his life and knew that they were going to cause him harm. He was in extremely close proximity to his home, and it seemed as if there was a personal, this had, I didn't want to bring this up because there's allegations, or I would call it questionable or rumor. There's nothing that has so far in this investigation come out that he or the officers knew each other. But there has been an observation made that this seems super personal. So it could have been the normal course of business for how they police and what they do with their badge. But people have been questioning this. It has not come out because of the proximity and the personal nature of how they felt. Because some people said, was it enough for him because he ran from the first scene? Was it a you gonna pay for this moment? You made us run. You embarrassed us. It's savagery, bro. It's savage. So I'm like, is that enough to make people turn into this type of crazy? I don't want to justify it as crazy because it is evil. It is inhumane. It is savagery. It is lack of regard for human life. That man could have been their brother, their cousin. They didn't see him like that at all. It's so shocking. It is so shocking to watch. Yes, Lisa, they hunted him down like predators. Sick, sad world. Can be very traumatizing. Trust and believe that. Be careful of that. Hey, 40 Boom, good to see you, brother. Glad to have you. Hey, Red Fox, glad to have you here. Daniel, thank you for your comments. Katie Isaac says, white supremacy upheld by black men. Thank you for your opinion. Sandy B. Law adds, this definitely feels like the Rodney King days, just plain evil. Geechee Dan say, how could I be asking for humanity? Bro, I just thought you're there with your uniform and your badge on. It's time to like act like a human being. Y'all hit the like button, please. Again, how do you feel? I'll be dropping the let me drop the link in case y'all want to come up and give me your opinion, please. I would love to hear your feedback after seeing the video. If you've watched the video, if you're not going to watch the video, let me know why. Join the conversation. You can just click on this link and you'll come up all the way on my show. I'll put you in the back. You'll be in the back first. So you guys can come on up if you want to and let me know what you think. But I've been watching this man, been working hard too, Mr. Ben Crump. Right, left, and center on every major network with this family, always at the front line, talking about what happened, not letting, this be swept under the rug. Again, it's amazing in this short span of time that we've gotten this type of arrest, 5 quick arrests, fired, arrested, charged. It is unheard of. And he said in this press conference, this should be a blueprint for how we do things going forward. This should not just be in this particular case. It should be standard. I'm going to get into who was Tyree Nichols in just a moment. Let me read some more of your comments, you guys. Again, talking about how the video has impacted you. Did you watch it? Did you not? Was it too much? Talking about how we can suffer PTSD from watching these type of videos. I'm not going to play it here. Be careful. Guard your mental health. Again, I was like, do I watch this, Lord? I watched most of them because there's several videos on several police body cameras that were on. Several of them did not have their body cameras on. And the street camera is the roughest one, which is the aerial view that was on top of a telephone pole. No sound. But when they played it first last night, I was like, I can't see nothing. It was far. But then when they zoomed that thing in, and then some of the personal body cameras of people who enter in and around the scene, it was a lot, y'all. I'm not going to lie, it was a lot. Guard your hearts. Guard your hearts, right? If it's too much for you, don't do it. Because, again, it takes time to process this. And, again, we've seen it so much over the, long periods that it can most definitely affect you, right? Especially those of us who, you're empathetic. You're just a human. You can see yourself, your brother, your cousin, your dad, your sibling, whoever. Again, looked up this phenomenon called linked fate. It's the first time I heard about it in terms of the PTSD that Black folks can suffer from watching videos of seeing other Black people deleted by police. It's really something that we have to be conscientious of. Yeah. Let me go ahead and read a few more of your comments, y'all. And again, I've dropped the link. You can come on over, voice your opinion. You don't have to be on the show. Let me read Damon. Let me see. You show your face on the show. Damon says, my son is 18. He's a professional drummer. Amazing. He has gigs that will have him out late at night. This is what I fear could happen to him on his way home. I could only imagine. Again, shout out to the family of Corey Jones, a gentleman right here in South Florida. He was from Palm Beach, also a drummer. Newman Raja was the police officer in his case. Plainclothes officer rolled up behind him when he was changing a tire. You could hear him on the phone. Again, thank God he was on the phone with, those like GPS systems, like, some cars have it where on-side, or I forget what it's called, when the roadside assistance, and he was talking to the roadside office lady, and the man who was a police officer on marked car pulls up behind him. And you could hear he was running, again, not identified as a police officer, running and chasing down a man. And you could hear Thank God he stayed on the phone with the lady and it was recording. You could hear the shots. He thought he was, I think, in his mind, being attacked by like a complete stranger. He was also charged, that officer in that case, Newman Raja. But it's almost like, here we go again. Here we go again. Let me see. Yes, this is what Andre, great point. A lot of people were like, this was a different type of, this was not a unit of a police department. The way they moved and operated, they were known as the Scorpion Unit, even though other places have stuff that is, similar, not the same name, obviously, but they're supposed to be proactive units of police officers that go out, plain clothes oftentimes, to look for the bad guys before they actually do commit crimes. However, once you run a plate and you don't see that there's any other infractions, it's almost like you want to prove that you weren't wrong. You mad that he ran away. You want to prove, because I'm talking about they were huffing and puffing, couldn't catch old boy. Old boy was gone. I just said, God, it's a pity he didn't make it home. Or maybe he stopped running thinking he had gotten away from them. They pull up to that second scene. It was on. They were out for, it seems like, vengeance. Straight revenge. They're going to make him pay for either running, making them look bad, embarrassing them. And then it was the savagery. Definitely. Y'all, you could come up if you'd like. I've dropped a link. All you have to do is click on it and you can voice your opinion if you'd like. Appreciate you watching. Hit the like button. Rough story today. We're going to talk about more who Tyre Nichols was, and I'm going to go ahead and head out. But if you want to come up, thank you. I appreciate your world class. He said he's on his way home. If you want to, thank you. Jump on. Be happy to hear your opinion, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, Geechee Dane say, how the heck Crump get all the cases? Something strange about that. And there are no other lawyers in the U.S. No. He does a good job, I think, of the public side of it, the publicity. The thing is, sometimes, guys, you as an attorney have to be strategic about how to use the public to pressure the prosecutor's office to do what's right. And if you don't have a high profile, and what he's done so skillfully over the last, I don't know how many years now, because I've been knowing of Ben Crump, he was kind of like known in Black legal circles, knew this guy out of Tallahassee. Yeah, he's been doing it for a while. I think he did personal injury, at first, and then has been doing more civil rights over the last, maybe, I don't want to get the number wrong, several years. But I think he's just skillful at understanding how to use the media to make sure the cases are not forgotten about and that they are hopefully handled, not always, in the most just, if you want to call it, way. And I think because he has always now, or not always, but now he seems to be the attorney of choice when it comes to civil rights matters. I think now this is just a product of his hard work, putting himself out there over and over and over again. I don't know if you watched Geechee Dan, his special on Netflix. It's interesting to watch him. Watch that. Maybe you'll feel a little bit different if you watch that, Geechee Dan. I just know that I know people who know him personally who say he's actually an upstanding dude. So to speak on that, I'm not going to be able to go deep into why. Yes, there are other attorneys, but he has done a good job. You can't be mad that he's done a good job at bringing the notoriety to some of these cases that is needed. But yeah, he's the go-to, though. He's the go-to. He was almost like rest in peace, Johnny Cochran. After Johnny Cochran won OJ, or was a part of the team with the OJ trial before he passed, he was the man. So it's just attorneys that know that the public, should I say, dimension of keeping their clients' interest in the fore. He's just very skillful at that. And now it's like a snowball effect. Right? So I hear what you're saying. But again, I think it's not by accident. Hey, Rosalind, good to see you. Yes. Shout out to the chief. I should have included her picture. The chief of police of Memphis, it happens to be a Black woman. And she has been, I was shocked as an attorney putting my hat on for the department and for the officers. I would have been told her, oh, but she has been very vocal in calling out the behavior, in saying that, these people showed the most depraved mind, like all the stuff the chief is saying. I'm like, she's not helping their case at all. Not that she shouldn't call a spade, but usually the blue line, and usually the attorneys for the department, because the department is definitely going to get sued. Will tell you, slow down, don't give too much comments. But the chief of the Memphis PD has been very vocal against her own officers. I found that to be very interesting. I was like, wow, she's not playing about this, and calling them out and talking about the behavior as just depraved mind and deplorable and inhumane. She's been at the forefront. The chief, I couldn't, yeah, I hear you. I was thinking as an attorney for the law, like the lawyers for the department, I was like, ooh, I would have been stopped her and put a couple of statements out as if I were on their legal team. But she's speaking very openly. I guess you don't care. Right is right, wrong is wrong. No blue line there. But yeah, she's been very open, and you couldn't bring yourself to watch it. I understand. I totally understand. I agree. Andre adds, I don't know how anyone could not be outraged after this. So this is the thing, y'all. They kept putting it on the news. Oh, they gonna burn it down. We want peaceful protest. They gonna burn it down. Ain't nobody want no peaceful protest. Nobody didn't want violence in the street. Once we started seeing movement, arrests made, videos made public, that's all people really want, is transparency. So yes, they did march in Memphis. I saw a small group. Also in New York, some major cities had protests, and they blocked a highway, I think, that runs from like Memphis to another state. They walked up onto the highway and marched up there, but nothing crazy. But I think the news made it so that it almost seemed like it was a buildup, expecting people to go crazy. But if you don't have an arrest, if you don't have video evidence, if you hear your police chief saying craziness, then you do feel like there is going to be a miscarriage of justice. So you operate accordingly, not justifying violence or destruction of property. All I'm saying is the type of response they kept boosting up. If we hadn't had an arrest, then fine. People would have been up in arms. But that's not what we had here. And I think kind of like the insinuation was really bothering me on the news yesterday and the day before. Like, oh, we're going to see this type of unrest. We're going to see, like, it was waiting for people to like act crazy. But we had arrests made. That's what people wanted. So from there were arrests made and videos, like I said, it didn't take 6 months and a year to get them out and to show the truth. No, we got to see for ourselves what exactly happened. And then the prosecutor moved accordingly. So that's what people want. People don't want violence for the sake of violence. No one's condoning violence. OnStar, thank you very much. I'm sorry, but the type of system to talk to the person on the side of the road. That was a terrible case. Corey Jones case in Palm Beach. Let me read some more of your comments. Glad you guys are here in the discussion. Rough one today, y'all. Talking about the arrest that was made, the passing that was just the most disgusting show. Again, I heard it put like this, y'all. Taxpayers paid for this. Because we paid their salaries. Taxpayers paid for his demise. Those officers worked for the taxpayers and took it upon themselves to act this horrific way. It is sad. And someone must be held to account. And I just don't want, I'm like, again, I think with the U.S. House of Representatives, the way it is, controlled by Republicans, I don't think we're going to get police reform now. But when the Democrats held both houses, House of Rep as well as the Senate, they should have been put forward. George Floyd policing bill, or at least some version of it. I'm not saying it had to be passed as is, but it could never be taken up in the Senate. The Senate would entertain it. There has to be some ways to make some more uniformity, but I don't know if the lobby for police officers is too strong that nobody in Congress will really want to address this. not in any serious way. They have too many, groups that donate to campaigns for people that they won't actually touch it, because we still have a very strong lobby on behalf of police officers. And again, there are great police officers doing good work, want to go home to their families just like you and I. But the training when it comes to de-escalation, and then maybe again, intervening first with police may not be the best alternative all the time. You might need to send a mental health professional, a social worker. You have somebody who is homeless and you send a policeman. It's with a weapon. It's not curing what was the problem in the first place. They're breaking the law because they are without a home. What is you with your weapon going to do? Right? For the loitering. It is puzzling that we don't have more or better alternatives that actually serve the needs of the people that are in these situations where it's not a violent situation. It is actually more like a social need, a social issue situation, or a mental health need or issue, but it's never addressed as such. You send somebody in there who's trained a certain way to think a certain way, to resolve something that could use a whole different set of thinking and tools. Maybe we don't call the police for everything. Maybe we need a separate mental health unit in every jurisdiction, where maybe your firefighter is your next person you call, so they have the mental health training. I don't know, but the training here of how to de-escalate is not, maybe it's not even an issue. Maybe they were trained in this department like that. Maybe these boys was going to do what they want to do anyway. I don't know. So much, very much disturbing about the video, y'all. Let me read a few more of your comments. Hey, RM in the building. Thank you to one of my moderators. She letting y'all know I do commentary every Wednesday, 3 to 5 on the Roland Martin channel. Y'all can come on over and come see me over there. I'm on this show called The Culture with Faraji Muhammad. But today we are just trying to give voice to y'all who are also taking in the information. We're taking it in at the same time. This very tragic case. Y'all hit the like button as you come in, please. If you're just joining me, we've been talking about the 5 Memphis police officers you see pictured here who were arrested for the savage, brutal, inhumane, depraved, I can use 10,000 more adjectives to let y'all know how sick this was. There are several police videos out now that have been released to the public. Now I was thinking as a lawyer, I'm like, oh Lord, now their attorney's going to say the jury's going to be tainted. They're probably going to want to move jurisdiction and remove it to a different part of the state, because they're going to say they can't find anybody in Memphis that's going to be objective. I already know y'all as an attorney what I would do in terms of how to manipulate, or the word is actually more so to skillfully defend your client. You're going to say the jury pool has been tainted. These are just some legal theories I'm throwing out there that might be put into play when we start seeing the actual court case come through. You're going to say, nope, there's too much public scrutiny. They're going to have to take it to a new jurisdiction outside of Memphis. It can happen. We call it a change of venue. We want to change a venue, judge. The jury pool here in Memphis, they too tainted. We don't want them. There's nobody in Memphis now, after seeing the videos, or people who will be totally objective, and they're gonna have I'm sure skillful attorneys that are already on TV talking about they didn't certain people didn't play a bigger role. They're gonna try it. I mean, you have to. It's called due process. Your day in court to defend yourself, present your own evidence. While the state presents the evidence that we're starting to see now with the videos, they're going to make an argument. This is not what you see. The prosecutor said it. Believe your eyes. But you're going to have, I'm sure, defense attorneys who are going to, very, very zealously try to defend what's on these tapes and why people didn't do what they should have done. Now, I'm really baffled. I guess I can't be baffled. The some say as long as 23 minutes of not rendering aid. You beat the man down while he's handcuffed, defenseless, head bobbing, body literally. When I thought they was gonna put him in the police car when they were dragging him, after they beat him down, they pulled him and propped him up against the door, head like waving. On the camera, on the body cam, you can hear him say, "I just want to go home with my mom," calling for his mom. Nobody urgently checked pulses. Nobody called the stretcher come. People, and between the discussion on the body cam, in between, they smoking cigarettes. They laughing, they cussing, they doing all kinds of stuff while the man sitting up against the car. They said, I heard one commentator said an MMA fighter who was in the ring would have got more and quicker medical attention than this, right? Less blows to the head, less kicks in the head, right? And got more and faster medical attention than this. They sat around for 20 some minutes, y'all, and did not render. Failure to render aid, to me, is definitely going to be a part of the prosecutors' facts to get them to that second degree charge. You didn't know that you was beating him to a pulp, that you was going to actually take his life. But when you see a man bobbing and listless, he complained of shortness of breath, that he couldn't breathe. Them time that the brain probably swell. The skull already been fractured. And everybody keying. That right there. That right there. The 22, 23 minutes of no aid while you laughing and chilling and talking with your homeboy. That right there was they're going to have to answer for that, y'all. Just right here, they're going to have to answer for that. It is, again, everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. But they're going to have to answer to that. How did this turn to this? How let me read some more comments and get over here. Gotta move on, because it's a real sick world we live in, where you're going to watch a man that look just like you die. It's really sad, y'all. I didn't even think. I don't know. Let me read some more comments. Let me take my face off of here, y'all. We're going to talk about him as a human being. Come on in, y'all. If you're just joining, hit the like button, please. A real human being, y'all. A real person. Family loved him. Somebody loved him. He was a daddy. Had dreams. Skateboarder lover. Sunsets. His dad said stepfather said he always went to go watch every evening the sunset. Photographer. Some of the pictures I saw online of his sunset pictures. It is almost like, wow. Lighthearted, fun. Let's talk about him as a human being. That'll help. Let me read some more of y'all comments right now. Let me read just a couple more, and I'm going to talk about him as a human being. All right. Read some more of your comments. Thank you guys for watching. Hit the like button, please. I'm a little bit behind on the comments. Forgive me. Let me see. Lisa says, remember Terrence Crowther? His car was disabled, and that cop took his life and got away with it and got her job back. Yes. There are many on this list, my dear. We're just going to see if the wheels of justice here, how they turn, right? EBH Black Show says, remember Stephon Clark in Sacramento? They chased him, took his life in his grandma's backyard. This isn't regional. Thank you, EBH Black Show. Chemo's opinion says, hey, Chemo, wagwan, brother, says, Benjamin Crump doesn't scream excellence. When I listen to him, he doesn't speak with intelligence. Listen, he has an accent, guys. He's a Southern man. He has an accent. Some people don't like that. I get it. And they're not feeling him. I get it. I get it. I think he is a competent counsel, though. Skillful as a counsel. But I get it. Well, your opinion is, I hear you. But I may disagree. Ah, man. Let me see. Yes. So the police chief, you're right, Chemo, created the Scorpion unit. She should take accountability as well. They didn't have a supervisor. That's another thing. The Scorpion unit did not have a supervisor. I'm like, what you doing? Who was supposed to keep these guys accountable? Who did they report to? Nobody? Okay, ma'am. Yeah, that bothered me too, Chemo. They didn't have a direct report. What was they doing? Who was evaluating if it was being effective? Whew. Let me see. Geechee Day added, there's no way you can rise to the level of chief of police and not be dirty too. I do not trust her at all. Like I said, she's been very vocal. She's been saying how bad it was and they must be held to account. And I'm like, wow, okay. Yes, they had a peaceful protest in Philly. I saw the one in New York. I saw the one in Memphis. Several major cities also came out. Yes, this is another thing. Thank you, the world class. This is a thing. They have to open back up these cases from this so-called Scorpion unit. And look at whatever else they did. Who else did they arrest? What other cases were they involved in? Everything has to come back into play, into scrutiny. What were they doing? Were there any other passings of people by these same individuals or the team? You know. Let me read some more of your comments, guys. Thank you for, yes. Sandy W, good to see you, sis, says, the GOP is not interested in taking up this. You notice the NRA and the Police Federation has been mostly silent. Listen, they're not backing the cops. They're not saying nothing. Some of the usual suspects that come out quickly to defend the good guy with the gun. Not this. We're going to go over who he was, guys. And I'm going to drop the link once again. If you want to come up, share your opinion, join the conversation. This is the time. All right. Chemo added, I think he's referring to the police chief. She might be covering up her involvement. We need internal affairs. That's why I'm glad DOJ, Department of Justice, got to come through. Memphis has other issues ongoing. So, like I said, for their size, the amount of people that are deleted in that city is incredible. So yeah, her hands may not be clean. Now we don't know. Things need to be looked at top to bottom. I hear you, Chemo. Yes, mental health as a unit, they're not trained. I think they say they give officers on average across the country 8 hours of training in mental health. All right. But all this warrior training, when the situation at hand, they vary. And so to the degree in which you may not have to, pull a weapon and think about what the person is saying to you. Yes, you're trying to survive. Yes, you want to go home to your kids. But to look at a 145-pound man, slim, tall, being like, what kind of training is that? Or was it, again, outside of it? They just wanted to prove a point, let him know we the men around here. You listen to us. Sad. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ken, for the Cash App gift. Thank you for showing love. If y'all want to support, the super chat is open. This is my Cash App. Thank you so much for sponsoring the stream. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Ken. Appreciate you on the Cash App. Thank you so much. You can super chat or show love and support, share, like, and comment if you are enjoying this. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This stream. Hit the like button for me as you are able. But yeah, want to hear what you have to say. Leave your comments. Let me read a few more, y'all. Andrews believes they may have made the videos public to taint the jury pool. Let me tell you. They got all the benefits of due process, but Tyree got a beat down. They get to go to a judge, jury, and execution. Exactly. For a traffic stop. What is appropriate for a traffic stop? What is appropriate use of force for a traffic stop? If you don't listen, if you run, should you be shot at or beaten or whatever? I'm thinking about some of the other cases. Shooting him in the back for running. He's no longer a threat. It's really, I don't know. This is sad. Or they'll say that they may have been not have been for his Crohn's disease, he would have survived. Exactly. His mother should have never mentioned that. I think she was just talking about how Miss Globe Girl, lightweight he was. He's small. He fights to keep weight on. He's a small dude, thin dude, tall but slim, lanky. So she was trying to point out that it wouldn't have taken all that. Geechee Dan says, look up how different the Memphis Police Department handle all the other times this happened, and look at what the races are of who did what. Yes, I agree. Sandy W adds, it definitely is a page of the Floyd defense playbook. Remember, they say he died because of. They was asking him that as he was being set up against the car. They were asking him about substance use. You high? You on this? You on that? And the man can't even respond. The man is like gurgling. The heck? It was really weird. I call it weird, but I'm just like, you don't see the man can't even talk. The brain is not functioning. And you over there asking him about if he took anything tonight, what you drank tonight. Sir. But they looking for that cover up automatically. So the report can be written up. Showed signs of this. No, you beat him to a pulp. That's why his brain is not functioning. You kicked him in the head. A defenseless man who had handcuffs on, laying down, straight boot him in the head. What in the world? What in the world? It just made my heart hurt. Yeah, all kinds of no humanity. I see you. Sandy in the back. Thank you. World class in the back coming up. Thank you both for being on. Whew. This is a rough one, y'all. I'm going to just talk about real quick as I bring them up. Sandy, flash your face for me. Make sure it's you. Yes, okay, I see you. You don't have to be on camera, but I just want to make sure it's you. Praise God. We're going to talk a little bit about more here. This is one thing I wanted to bring up before I bring up Sandy and before I bring up world class. Y'all, this is something that I saw about him. And again, just to humanize him. 29-year-old, let me move myself off this. 29-year-old, life was taken in Memphis. Police officer, the 29-year-old killed by Memphis police officers was a skateboarder, photographer, and quote-unquote free spirit who marched to the beat of his own drums. Sources are Viola Davis's page as well as Attorney Crump's Twitter. Before moving to Memphis, as I said, Mr. Nichols lived in Sacramento, California, where he picked up skateboarding. His stepdad was even saying, boy, you're getting too old for this skateboarding. You need to go ahead and put that down. Always enjoy bringing smiles to people's faces. They said of him, according to Mr. Trump's Twitter, he was his own person and didn't care if he didn't fit into what was a so-called traditional black man. And I'll read it again. He was his own person and didn't care if he didn't fit into what a traditional black man was supposed to be in California, said his friend Angelina Paxton to the Commercial Appeal. That's from Mr. Trump's Twitter. One of Nichols' many passions was also photography. I cut the picture off, but the picture that was on this quote was actually his sunset that he took. He had a website of his portfolio, which showed his love of landscapes. Sound like a dude I would hang out with, right? Nichols was free-spirited. Notice they keep saying that. Very free-spirited person, a gentleman who marched to the beat of his own drum, said his friend Nate Spates to CNN. His mother mentioned that he had a tattoo of her. Nichols' mother said he loved her so much that he tatted her name on his arm. She was very proud to share that during her press conference. There's so many other fun facts about this guy. This is a real dude. Can't forget that, y'all. Sometimes when we see the headline, we forget that the pain is real. This mom is never seeing her son again. Just woke up and her life had completely changed. Just woke up. I will never see my boy. My grandson has no father. I have to bury my child. It is frightening. Let me bring up my two guests. I'm so happy to have both of you. Sandy W. and the world class wants to share with y'all their opinions. Thank y'all for coming through. Let me bring you up, world class. Check your mic, bruh. How are you?
Awesome, fantastic. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Good to have you. You in a mellow mood though, with the blues and the purples.
Gotta be relaxed. This
I love
2023 is
it.
stressful.
Let me get you a close up. Let me get a close up. Y'all see him? Yes. The
So
world
like, oh,
class.
I guess we gotta put the light on. You know how Kevin Samuels
Yeah.
be doing. Gotta put the. Let's see if we got the light. Bam.
Oh, set the mood
Oh,
though.
man.
I like you bringing that different energy in this kind of very rough conversation. Y'all check out his
Yeah.
channel. I'm glad you're here and that you're going to share with us. And Sandy W, how you doing? Happy to have you
Hey,
too. Yes, I can hear you just fine. Good to see you. Thank you for coming up, y'all. I wanted this to be a discussion, but I know sometimes it's very difficult sometimes for people to kind of open up, and this can be a very emotional type conversation, and many people may feel a little, you know, overwhelmed. I guess. Let's start with you, Sandy. What are your thoughts? Did you watch the video?
I watched probably 2 minutes of it.
Mm.
Y'all have to forgive me. This is a Saturday. I'm
Sandy,
trying to
we ain't
be
judges, sis.
okay.
We ain't forgive.
I'm not trying.
Sandy said, "Don't give me no close up." What you
Um,
doing? I hear you. I hear you.
no, I'm just letting you know. I don't
It's
normally.
all good,
You know,
sis. We're
I'm
not
kind of
judging.
private. I'm
Hmm.
really private. Um, I try to be. Um, when I watched it with my 84-year-old mother. My sister is akin to law enforcement. I am
Mm.
from a military family.
Okay.
Um, I have lived in other places where the police don't act like officer friendly. To be honest, officer friendly died probably in 1979.
Right. For
So
real.
that other populations still believe in officer friendly. We don't have that. We don't have that privilege. Um, when I saw it, I was so mad. I was like, I don't usually have mad tears,
Mm.
but I was so upset. I mean, I was like, I have pets. I've never treated an animal like that.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
We've had someone that tried to break in our home. Guess what? My mother showed so much compassion to this day. If he needs something, he can come to us to get some help. I don't come
Mm.
from that background.
Yeah.
Do I will we've been trained to do certain things in my family because that's just one of the things that we have to do. But
It is hard, and I'm glad you shared that your background is that you have military and law enforcement and understanding of that side of the coin, so to speak. That there are people that make this their livelihood, and also have a difficult job to do. So I always want to humanize that officer. But let me ask you: were you shocked that it was Black officers that did this?
no,
Can you explain to people why that wouldn't be shocking?
because I've been brought up around black officers,
Mm.
Asian officers. I have a cross section, of people that I know. Um, People are people. Evil is evil. I'm not saying, okay, that what we've been seeing has been on the other the pendulum was on the other side. I'm not saying that. I'm tired of saying, oh, well, all police officers aren't like that. That's kind of like a backhanded, I don't know. It just seems backhanded to me. They're
Yeah.
people. They're
Yeah.
people. I have in my community, I believe you went to school in my community.
Hmm.
We've had some horrendous things happen in our police force where we had a whole group
Yeah.
that was
South
in the
Florida
news.
and Miami in particular, there used to be some they was running some, I don't know what to
Oh
call it.
yeah,
We would say
most
gangs,
definitely.
but it
Most
was a whole
definitely.
the 80s and 90s. It was a wild,
Exactly.
wild west. Like they had on uniforms, but they were literally mm-mm, mm-mm.
And that was when I think the time when they were so hard up for bodies on the police force that maybe they didn't.
They ain't
You
check no
know,
backgrounds. They took anybody and put them in the
I'm
uniform.
trying to be kind of,
We will put a
maybe they did.
little history to the South Florida police forces that, I mean, sometimes people tend to forget. Let's just kind of back up a little bit that, again, South Florida, even though Miami seems like a multicultural mecca now, it's very much the South. And it was very segregated. We had police chiefs that did some craziness. I'm talking about well into the 80s, documented, right? From putting drugs into people's neighborhoods to, keeping places segregated. And after dark, you better not cross that train track. Like, that was the South. Like, Miami, people tend to forget because it
It's
seems
not
so
even the South. That could be, okay, forgive me, people that are from Duval.
Jacksonville, yeah.
I mean,
let Duval be, no, but people try to kind
it
of
could be
carve out.
a little bitty town that's next to a very liberal area.
Yes, yeah.
It could
The
be
history is here.
anywhere.
The history is here.
And I have to say also, for those of you that live in the North, I want you to know that this could happen in the North too.
Yeah.
You may not see it, but this happens all over the world. Normally, this right here, I saw this in the 90s in Jamaica.
Yeah, people are, yeah. That abuse of power is not exclusive to regions. And I think someone said that in the comments. Thank y'all for saying it. Like, this is not regional. Human beings are human beings. Kimo asked what is officer friendly, and I think that was answered.
It was during the schools. I'm older than
yeah, it was like a cartoon or something.
I'm older than our beautiful Suzette.
Yeah, but was it like a promotion of
It was I think it was fifth grade, maybe fifth
like
and
a program?
sixth grade. Right when you're going in, yeah, it was a school. Like, it was something you had to. There was like a whole, like, what is it? Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Oh.
It was big like that.
The one I remember is Just Say No. Just Say No is my era. Nancy Reagan had us all talking about just say no, just say no to drugs. Just say, like, that was the big campaign.
Yeah, it was a big thing where they, especially in lower performing schools, they would have these officers that did not look like us.
Yeah.
Come to the school, and they would gather the children around and make it seem like, oh, if you are in trouble, you called.
Yeah, you're a friendly officer. It was like you can count on police. Police are your friends. Like, that was the whole theme of the program, just to give you some reference.
Right.
Doug,
the typical brown and black person, I hate to say it, even as we're getting more developed technologically in this country, I believe these younger kids are being subjected to trauma with what they see on our phones, on our, all of that with relations to people that are in the authority. So officer friendly could never.
No, they don't have that frame of reference at all. No. I just spoke at a high school.
I interrupted you.
No. I wanted you to finish your thought. I just spoke at a high school, and I was telling them about my experience in college, and they were like, "What about white supremacy?" I was like, "Calm down." Even though I went to a PWI, there are a lot of good white people too. Like, we're gonna have to be okay to be cross cultural, but they were so ready to be like, what, and I did share some instances where I felt racism or any kind of implicit bias, and that it didn't go this way, and I had to counteract it with that. And I did share those stories, but I think they are very much, as the word you use, tainted, because their innocence is not there the way we were like, oh, the world is green, until we got to like college and got slapped in the face. Like, we thought, it was, bubble bath and rubber duckies and butterfly. Like, that type of innocence is not there for as long as we want it to be nowadays. I just wanted to read this comment. Let me bring up the world class. It says, I live in East Tennessee, says Doug, and what those cops did was disgusting and wrong. I hope they are held accountable. As an Army vet, we wouldn't have done that to the enemy we were fighting. Sorry to the family and the young man that was taken. Their life was taken. Thank you for your comment. Hit the like button. Thank you, Sandy W, giving us some good insight as to what you're seeing. Let me bring up the work. You want to hang out, Sandy?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
I
let me
may
bring you.
go off.
Okay,
the
let me bring you down and let
video.
me bring up the world class. Okay, perfect. Hey, Noble, your thoughts, sir. What are your thoughts on the video, and how are you reacting to what was shared throughout, the conversation? Oh, you muted, sir.
Okay, my fault. I said, well, hey, because you didn't hear that part. But I didn't see it. All I seen was the picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's me.
I can hear you okay. You're okay, but I can hear you. You hear feedback?
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
I can hear you okay.
Yeah, I think it might be me. But I didn't see the. I didn't actually see the video. All I seen was a picture of the brother in the hospital. That picture you shown. So, but for us, it's pretty normal in the city I'm from, in Baltimore. It's pretty normal. It's what happens all the time. I've met a lot of people that have gotten settlements from attacks similar to that, and it's why we don't trust them. Like I don't. If it's a cop, especially if it's a so-called brother, I don't trust them. Like we just don't. Like that's just what we see. Like that overzealous. I want to improve. I want to impress the white man type of crap that they got going on. They attack us a lot. Like they hood niggas. Like that's how I look at them. They act just like we
So
do
let
in
me
the
ask you
hood. They
this.
do.
Let me pause you. Let me pause you. Be more in the building. Let me pause you because I'm sure when I think about Baltimore, what comes to mind? Freddie Gray case and some
Mhm.
others that got the national attention. And if you guys don't know about Freddie Gray, he was arrested and then put in a van or a police lockup paddy wagon, I don't know what to call it, and basically given the rough treatment. And they drove like a crazy banshee
Yeah,
out of where and broke his neck in the back of the police paddy wagon. I don't know what else
yeah.
to call, like a van. I'm not sure what to call it.
That's
And
it.
that was a horrific case, again, of a retaliatory mindset when it comes to, oh, you're going to speak up, you're going to say something, you're going to run, you're going to make me chase you, or you're going to do something, that I think of as you're not being cooperative. And, that poor brother, again, another devastating case of a family losing a loved one at the hands of cops. So I'm wondering, in Baltimore, do you guys have since then, have you had any changes that you've seen or any community policing initiatives, or are things pretty much the same, or have you seen any change since then?
Well, I don't. Me personally, I wouldn't see any more. I'm not in the city no more. But yeah, from what I hear now, it's no difference. I mean,
Mm.
we in our city we call them knockers. Like that Scorpion division that they got down there, we call them knockers for that reason. Because they, I mean, plenty of times you'll just be a kid coming out of the corner store getting your little tasty cakes and little penny candies, and a bunch of knockers that get out of Ford unmarked car and just beat the crap out of one of your schoolmates or somebody that was on a bus with you, slam him to the ground, break his teeth, all of that. I've seen like the most despicable people I've seen in public as police officers, especially the brown, so-called black ones. They are the most pathetic, like children they'll beat up, spit it on them, rob them. Like I don't know, like when in this space, they seem to have a problem with dudes that's like from the hood, but we've seen things a lot of people have never seen in life. So we will never. There's nothing in life that will make me respect a police officer. I just don't respect you because you're not the same guys when you don't have that. And they beat children up, they beat up innocent people. That's what they do. So we look at them as criminals only. So this is normal.
Wow.
This is normal. Like this is regular day
I
to
can't
day crap.
even process that because, again, depending on where you grew up and around the country, I'm sure there are people that can relate to you completely. There are people like, what?
Hmm.
I don't know. Never heard of that. But for sure, there are places, there are neighborhoods, there are police districts where you're getting, I don't know, the recruitment wrong. I say that and it seems trivial because that's not the core is that the culture allows or even what should I say? It requires you to switch and become this type of renegade, what we would say outlaw, really.
Incentivizes you.
Exactly, to be this kind of crazy person. Now, may I ask, because I've been reading, because I'm like solution based and trying to figure out they say there's a place factor, more likelihood that the police live or in the neighborhood or close to the neighborhood to where they police, the more likely they're not going to make as many arrests, not make as many arrests, or let me get some water, or treat people as inhumanely as we're discussing now. But majority of police don't live where they police. Do you think that would make a difference, or were they neighborhood guys
No.
that were involved in the type of behavior you witnessed?
Yeah, it's not. That's not gonna make no difference. It'll be worse if it's people from around the neighborhood. Well, I'm just thinking about I am from the worst neighborhood in North in Northwest Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? It's Northwest Baltimore, so I I know for a fact it'll just be worse. I mean, there'll probably be less violence, but it'll be more drugs and robberies.
Wow.
It'll be
So
less violence, but it'll be more drugs.
just to think about the police being involved in that type of behavior, I think again, we want to paint a picture of Mr. Friendly or Officer Friendly. I hear you, Sandy.
Yeah, I remember that.
But
Yeah, I remember that.
Officer Friendly was like a real thing. It was like a
And
campaign.
it was old when we was learning about him. We was little Officer Friendly. You know,
Yes.
we was a little
You're like,
first
officer,
grader.
tell your officer, what happened to you, or you can call on your officer for whatever. Again, they're trying to make it so that kids from an early age saw an officer as a person who was a resource, who was a friend, help them. But that didn't change, obviously, your reality and what you saw
Completely
on
different.
a daily basis.
I've
And
seen,
so were those
seen,
cops that were involved Black that would do those things in your
of
neighborhood?
course. Very rarely was it a white cop. It was, yeah. I mean, very rarely was it. It'll probably be a white cop that's leading it, but yeah, they can't wait. But what I've seen studies over the years is that the less police presence, the less crime. So in Baltimore, we know that it's the police selling drugs. We know it's the police shooting people, giving these little. We know it. We already know. So I mean, we already know. It's the
Yeah.
police. Ain't
Hey,
no way around it.
Vondell. Yes, I want you to continue the conversation. Stay with me, Noble. Let me bring up Vondell, see what he wants to add. Welcome, Vondell. How are you?
Oh, how are you, SuzetteSpeaks? How is everything going to you today?
Good. Good to see you, brother. How's your Saturday going?
Saturday's going well, and Miss Linda said hello too.
Hey, my favorite, Miss Linda. I hope she's good. I'm glad to have you. We talking about, a heavy topic today, but it's something that needs to be discussed. And I wanted to hear what you have to say about it. What do you think about what we've learned so far in the Tyree Nichols case?
What I'm seeing in this case is like, wow, the blacks cannot trust the police to begin with, that we need to really force on relying on ourselves in the first place. That forces more emphasis to learn about black businesses and to have self-reliance on yourself and defending yourself. That's what we need to be thinking about. And stop relying on other people to protect us and learn to protect ourselves to begin with. Because or if you don't, you're going to have another Tyree Nichols in the first place.
Yeah, good points. Good points. What would you say, Noble? You agree?
I agree. I think self-policing is a thing. I think it was a Supreme Court case that says that police are not there to protect people. They're not there for people. They're there to protect property. And people need to stop
the law and enforce the law. Yeah.
So
we hear protect and serve, but that's not really in. But that's what we think. But that's not necessarily.
Now I'm talking about us.
No, it often is. No. They're called law enforcement.
Yeah,
they
enforcing
enforce the law. That's really their key tenet and creating.
No city and county police department has people protectors written on it anywhere.
No. It's again, they want to enforce the law is a core trait and value that oftentimes gets kind of, we think of it as protect and serve, or at least Officer Friendly campaign made us think it was protect and serve. And again, there are people on these forces that do want to, but we're saying that is maybe not the core driver of behavior at any given point in time. They want to protect and the property, of course, and life, they say, but it's to enforce the law. But yes, go ahead, Vondell. You want to continue your point?
I also think like one of the things we can do to stop black deaths is like another overrated thing that people said teaching. We have to just learn how to just hire a driver instead of learning how to drive ourselves, because that's one of the things we can do as well.
So you're saying, yeah, don't even get caught in the certain
So don't even get in the
situations.
search.
Take you a Uber, a Lyft, or something, which is it's extreme. But I hear what you're trying to say. I validate what you're trying to say, which is to avoid being in a situation where someone is pulling you over directly. But shouldn't we as citizens just have the right to be in our car unbothered and nobody, stop you for frivolous reasons or no reason at all to just
You would think
harass
so.
you? You would think that we have that right, and without having a quote
Speaks.
presumption of guilt because I'm black, because I'm in a black body. There's something I must be doing that is wrong, that I'm going to be found out, etc. I want to go home to my family just like you want to go home to your family. So this kind of mindset shift, I don't know if that's a training thing.
But they get compensation for you not going home to their family, and you don't.
Explain that.
Because when they get to sign a piece of paper that they got a criminal, that adds to their career. So they have an incentive for you not to go home. They're thinking about you not going home, but you're not. And you got to look at North America as the most armed civilians on Earth. So what do we need police as much as, or do we need police more than everybody else in the country? We don't need police. They've made a fundamental right illegal somehow. And like I said, the stats have shown it over the years. The more the police presence, the higher the crime rate. Rate, not the volume. The rate. The crime rate increases.
Wow. Good food for thought there, Sandy. I'm bringing you back in. You want to add?
I just want to let people know that it's sad when when we do the red pill. What is that? Red pill, blue pill.
Yes, discussions.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
I sometimes listen to you when you talk about these issues, and there's a whole thing about alpha male and all this stuff and hyper masculinity. I just want you to know that, in my opinion, a lot of these types do go into law enforcement and the prison systems and work in those kinds of areas because they feel that they need those skills. They need those attitudes to get respect from the people that they're over. That's really sad. I mean, it's just sad the fact that this young man, Mr. the World Class, I'm sorry, sir, feels that way about his community. That he has, I'm sure, seen lots in his community, and my heart goes out to you because of that. I'm not losing total empathy or appreciation for our police force, but they got a lot of stuff to clean up. They have a lot to clean up because are you in your 30s?
I'm 37.
Okay, I'm 20 years older than him. And my mom is 84. My mom is 84, and her sister, and she was in her 60s, was assaulted by a policeman. She was coming home from working a double shift at a hospital. And because she didn't move fast enough, they assaulted her.
Like hit her or some kind of sexual violation?
This is a time when nurses used to before scrub. What do you call it? Scrubs. And her whole top of her white uniform was full of blood.
Oh my Lord!
Wow.
So this affects everybody. If you have a young person that wants to go into law enforcement, please sit down with them and have a real talk. I understand the blue line. I understand that, but you cannot lose your sense of humanity. Because what are you there for?
Dealt with because I mean I know of. I mean, people say, "Oh, it's every profession," and shout out to Officer Nathan Daly, amazing content creator who was always talking about these are just regular folks who got a job, y'all. Y'all want them to be superheroes. I'm hearing his voice in the back of my head explaining or trying to maybe offer why there's so many missteps in a profession that you can't get it wrong. What they say is it's a couple professions that you can't have mistakes. Pilots, policemen, and some people at these high stake levels where your decision making is a life or death decision. So to have the recruitment the way we have it, oftentimes it is not allowing for, I don't want to say the cream of the crop, but just posting an ad, try out for the police is not enough. Like the level of scrutiny, the level of screening and of the intake has to be a little bit more rigid for the type of decision making we want them to do. If they're not able to pass a certain type of mental health or I don't know what you call it, personality test or judgment test, they shouldn't be on the force to begin with. But I think sometimes if you add for $20 an hour and you're going to be a corrections officer or a police officer, the level of the person that you're able to get, I don't even know what the training is. I think in our community college in Miami-Dade and maybe Broward, it might be a 2-year, an associate. I don't even know what does it require.
I think in my community, I think
give you a
it's a 4-year degree.
Oh, is it a
I
4-year
think
degree?
it's a 4-year degree, but I was told that some years ago all it had to do was like if you come from the military background,
You
it was
go
like
right
a phone
into it.
call.
Yeah, you go right into
Can I
it.
give you a perspective
Go
real
ahead,
fast?
Noble.
I'm gonna go.
Okay, Sandy W.
Okay, Sandy,
Love
thank you.
you.
I'm glad to see you. Thanks for coming up. I appreciate you. And we're
Appreciate
gonna
it.
wrap up in a little bit. Go ahead, Noble.
Yeah, so the military has existed for a long time, right? U.S. military, right? So they've had, I think, thousands of special forces, thousands of Green Berets, thousands of Navy
Yeah, SEAL
SEALs, and this
teams, all that.
amazingly,
Yeah.
amazingly on duty, they don't eliminate or kill as many people as the cops do in the country. So it can't be about the job being one of those jobs you can't make a mistake. There
Yeah.
is a culture
Yeah.
that we're gonna get back some of these people. And as one of those, as a male that has been in this alpha male, beta male situation, I can promise you 9 out of 10 of these police officers are the beta males. They're not real alpha males.
Ooh. I was gonna ask you to respond to what Sandy said. So you don't think so? You don't think it's the macho
No,
over the top, we gonna show you I'm a man attitude? None of that?
because you would do it without it, and they don't. If you were that, you would do it without the badge, but you don't. That's why people say that these are the chumps that got picked on. That's why it's the comp. You go to school with these people, you see them, and you see who becomes a
Yes.
police officer, and you see who don't. It's
Yes.
not usually the jocks and the athletes and the tough guy that everybody follow. It's usually the chumps. Usually.
Interesting perspective. You may give me some food for thought. I'm like, who do I know who became a police officer? Like, I've seen. You have to be. It's almost like you have to play psychologist when you get stopped. Like when anybody, like I haven't been stopped like that, but a couple times when I've gotten tickets and stuff, I'm like, just shut up, don't say nothing, just smile, listen first, and just, you know what I'm saying? Like as a woman, I'm like, let me think about what his mindset must be so that I can match his energy and not push a button, if you will. But I can only imagine the frequency. Do you feel like you've been maybe targeted a lot over your life? Fit the description kind of stuff? I can imagine. And that would be mostly in Baltimore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine.
A lot.
People who have that type of experience here in Miami I've talked to where I'm like, God, Lee, you've been patted down since you were like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Stop and search little boys, pat them down, open their book bag. So much, humiliation.
Yeah, and then you're a woman. You're a woman, but like so you would think you wouldn't think that how many times we're getting
I can't
essayed.
imagine. No, I can't even imagine.
They cuffing, they touching just like bro. I will beat you the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
you getting serious. They like you know what I'm saying. Like we getting
on your
like
privates and things. Yeah.
happens a lot. So it's a lot. I literally in my real life I understand that they're doing a job. I have literally no reason to have a respect for them. I just don't. Firemen, I give y'all credit all day, every day. They're real heroes. Police officers are there just to make everything worse than what it's supposed to be. That's how I see them. That's nothing else. So I'm not about to sit and have I'm not gonna have court on the side of the road with a guy that probably qualifies to work at 7-Eleven that has a gun all of a sudden that thinks his right. I had a guy pull me over, tell me his rights was over my rights. I said, man, you know that don't make any sense. I got completely out of character with him. I'm like, brother, don't tell me stuff that don't make sense. Just go write your ticket and I'll sue you and we be done.
Yeah, the experience, I think I'm grateful that you're sharing your experiences, because I don't think people kind of understand, or they may feel like this is a one-off, or we
It's not.
exaggerating, or
Yeah.
there's experiences of people in our country, guys, that you would not believe, just trying to live your life. You are playing defense, you're on the defensive,
Yes.
proving I'm
Absolutely.
not a threat to you. You know,
Yep.
you're seeing me, but hey, I'm walking with my hands outside my pockets, and let me pull my hoodie off, and let me smile at you, and constantly be. I mean, I see it. It's so weird, because even when I'm in public spaces, I'm looking for what the police, or the other people who are in charge of any type of law enforcement are doing, in with respect to the other people of color in the room, or in the courtroom, or wherever I am. I'm like very conscious of, like, who is he looking at? What's the body language of who the person is he looking at? Why is he looking at, you know what I'm saying? Like, trying to almost run interference, so that it's like, oh, that's a client of so and so's, or this is a person that just, or I'll go to the person, hey, are you in the right room? Did you find your attorney? Are you pro se, or are you representing yourself? Okay, cool. Sit right here, so that I can already mitigate with the bailiff or whoever. This is a person
Yeah.
that belongs here, so that there's not this thing. I think there's some
Attention.
solidarity we have to show for one another in those moments. But I just don't even understand, like, when your experience, how you've described it, coming up and be more. How does one? I don't know.
I had this I don't even gonna mention the kid name, but I've had this conversation in this space, and
Mm,
this this concept that they want to repair the relationship between police officers and our people. I'm like, okay, let's try that. Okay, so if any one of these police officers, former police officers or current, want to restore the relationship between so-called African American people and the police, then why the hell won't y'all go to the Nation Islam? Because they already do security and they already have 70-year history of doing
mm,
what you're pretending that you want to do. People
right.
don't think of Nation of Islam or Fruit of Islam and go, oh yeah, they're gonna try to hurt us. They do security, they're great at it, and they got credibility. Why won't you go to them? They got the results.
Mm.
It
They're
ain't a
not. That's
precinct in this
political. They're
country.
not gonna do it. They're not gonna do
Hell
it.
no. Absolutely not. So you don't really want to get it done. You're just talking.
Mm.
And we're not
I'm
dumb
trying
enough
to
to
think
go for that.
about, like, this. I don't know what like, because I'm always wanting to leave on the solution side when it comes to community policing or self-policing, what that would even look like. Because there was a time, I don't, again, as what you've described, different ball
Private
game.
communities.
Yeah.
Private communities. Private communities where you have your own security and they gotta check in with that's the only thing, and link up with the military or homeland security, whatever you want to use. I forgot the National Guard, and go from there. Have private communities gated and in and out checks, and that's the only thing I can think of.
So you're saying, like, create like enclave type things where people know each other and you're responsible for your own. Hmm.
You have gated and checked. You got your own security set up. People
Mm.
rotate, do what they got to do, hire internally, whatever that whole deal. But because they're not going anywhere, they're too well funded, and the police could be easily replace militaries in other countries. That's
Oh
how
no, the police,
weaponized they
we didn't even get to the militarization. They went
are.
from having handguns to, like, literal tanks and machines and robots that can be sent to blow you up. No due process. We're afraid of our lives. You might have a bond. I can send a robot into a building and make the call on a scene.
Hmm.
Talk about judge, jury, and executioner, and blow you up with a robot. This happened in Cali. Like, there are so many parts of this police apparatus that has now changed to not, again, no Mr. Officer friendly. Like, hey Dean, how are you? I see you. Hey, just talking ish. Just show me your face real quick. Let me see you. Hey, thank you for coming on. All right. Hi, good to see you. It's been a while, brother. All right. Let me bring up these brothers and see what they have to say. Thanks for coming up. Talking about the Tyree Nichols case, y'all, and policing in general. Your experiences are welcome here. Please don't cuss. Thank you. So we can stay monetized. But glad to have everybody. I know we get passionate. What's up, Dean? Good to have you. How are you today?
Hi. Am I
All right.
coming in clear?
Yeah, you're coming in clear. Just watch the road. Tell us what you think about today's discussion.
Um, a lot of it's very unfortunate, and there's been a lot of overemphasis on the skin color of these 5 police officers,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the same distraction that prevents addressing the real issue with the whole structure of policing.
Okay.
It's not. It was never a skin color issue. You got a lot of, and it's not even a gender issue. You've got this profession, which is a noble profession, that's been bastardized, and there's just not a lot of accountability. So it's just unfortunate that I'm seeing a lot of the trappings that happened with George Floyd when we're talking about a white police officer. Now people are talking about these are 5 black police officers. What's the common denominator? They're police officers.
So the color ain't even a part of why this happened.
Not from my perspective. It's more an indictment on how we enable these people and the entitlement that they have, that they think they can just treat citizens like this. I think if there was more fear put into them, the behavior would change a lot differently, regardless of their skin color.
So they have too much, what should I say, authority, or the abuse of authority has not really been checked.
Absolutely. You know, they have too much ego, too much authority, too much entitlement, and I think also just they're not hiring the best and the brightest. I heard Nathan Daly, and now I'm starting to really come around with Nathan Daly had a really good idea, and his idea was Officer Nathan Daly. His idea, and I was resistant with this. His idea was that we're paying these guys too little, and I was like, no, no, I'm not going to pay them more so they could whip people's asses even more.
Yeah.
But I think he has a point. Like we're not getting the best and the brightest. So maybe that's something to be explored. Like I don't know the backgrounds of these young men, but they didn't seem to be the most professional.
Yeah, absolutely. Some solutions there. Thank you. I'm gonna go to Just Talking Ish. How are you?
Hey, what's up? Long time no speak.
I know. Good to have you up here, brother. What are your thoughts today?
Man, I wish we was talking about something a little bit better, but this right here, this is just disgusting. And what the last brother Dean was just saying, I see where he coming from, but I can't call law enforcement or being a police officer a noble occupation when we know the history of where that occupation came from. So even though that it was 5 black officers, I still believe skin tone and race did play a part of it, because ask yourself this: if that was a white boy in that car that it was coming after, do you think they would have did the same exact thing?
No, of course not. That's how I see it too. Yeah, no.
So again, we focusing on the wrong part of the race. We're sitting here saying, oh, it was black officers and stuff. Honestly, my personal opinion, I might offend some people with this, but once you become a black officer, you're not black anymore. You're blue. When you got that uniform on, you're blue.
Hey, I'm with it.
Because I done had black and white officers sit here and tell me, ain't no such thing as a good cop.
Yeah, me too.
Because
what city are you in? Where you grew up?
We wouldn't have the stigmatism of bad cops and bad policing, because the good cops would stand up against that.
Where you from, brother? Where you at?
I'm from Atlanta.
Wow. Have you ever seen? Oh, it's hard because Atlanta got some serious cases over there too with different people. Have you seen any improvements to y'all police force growing up or to where you are now?
No, because honestly, we can sit here. All right, I'm 33 years old. I'll be 34 this year. We can go back to recordings from the 1950s and 60s, and they're still saying and complaining about the same things that we're complaining about today. So what really changed? They allow some
crazy people. Sandy says the good cops are scared. Policing ideology needs to change. to include our cultural values and ideas, says Black Lexicon. Good to have you, brother. Sandy says, good cops are scared too. They talk and have to watch their back, right? This is what Lisa said. Good cops accidentally get deleted in the training. My lord. Mm,
But are they really good cops though? Because answer me this.
mm.
It's just like sitting here saying, oh, well, you know that gangbanger, that's a good gangbanger. He a good guy.
I
That's
have
a
to
fact.
say that too.
That's a fact.
It's not the
I'm with it.
That's
Nailed it.
apples and oranges. You tell me that's a good. Not every cop fits. Obviously, we talking in generalities, and again, I respect your opinion. Just like your experience and your opinion are welcome. I'm hearing you. I may differ just because I'm here. I don't necessarily agree, but I hear what you're saying. You're saying across the board. Have you had those similar experiences that Noble has talked about with you growing up, where you profiled and things like this?
Oh yes, I was profiled as early as being back in when I was 12 years old in middle school, walking home from school. I had my rights violated then, but I was a young boy, so I didn't know what my rights like by the
Like, what do you
law.
mean violated? What happened to you?
Walking home from school, a police car pulled up on me, stopped me, basically said I fit the description, grabbed my book bag, emptied it out on the curb, made me sit down on the curb while they went through my book bag, didn't find anything, and just left all my stuff right there on the side of the curb.
Yep.
And kept on going. Said,
That's
I'm gonna
almost
let
every
you
day.
off with a warning. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting here like, well, what did I do? And mind you, I'm 12 years old. I'm in the 6th grade, so I understand that something's not right.
Right.
Like now that I'm an adult, now you're engaging with a minor without no parents or no guardian around. You just left all my stuff on the ground. You accused me of crime. It didn't even have the audacity to say we apologize, we're sorry, nothing. They just left me on the side of the road with all my
Search
books and my
without a
stuff
warrant.
on the road.
Probable cause.
I
That's
can
so
recall back
scary.
to when
Mm.
I was about 6 or 7, and I'm in my grandma's house, and my uncle runs into the house, and then all of a sudden police officers try to run back into the house as well. They talking about we need to see your uncle. You know, my grandmother, who gave the benefit of the doubt to anyone, the most loving person I ever known. I'm seeing her cussing these police officers out.
Mm.
And they're
Mm.
trying to violate her rights. So they're trying to come into the house and find somebody because they say they had probable cause but no warrant. But
No.
then when they looked down there, they couldn't find them. Now, right, I'm not gonna sit here and say my uncle was in the wrong or in the right or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start violating other people's rights that has nothing to do with the situation, which the
Yeah.
police are known for, you start recording when they're doing some interactions with the community. If you start recording and they don't like you recording, they implement you into the prom into
Yeah.
the
You get
situation.
arrested, break up your phone. Yeah, I've seen that as well. I've seen that as well. But some jurisdictions are trying to hold people accountable. Do you think it's enough?
No, I would never. I'm gonna be honest because of the origins where it came from. This profession was not created to protect and serve. This profession was created to track down runaway slaves.
That's a fact. They just
Mm.
rebranded it, and they have people going, "Oh, they're not the same." Well, bro, they just rebranded it. That's all. We're not stupid because you feel like it.
Mm.
They started as slave catchers. They had 2 different organizations in the North. Another organization in the South. They went with the North because it was better branded. That's it. Because let me remind you, we got these people called sheriffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do we
Mm-hmm.
need police officers for? What do they exist for? Then, because they can deputize people, right?
Yeah.
So why do police officers exist?
Yeah.
They can just deputize them.
Uh,
In some states, the sheriff do all of that. So what do we
right.
need police officers for? Okay.
And we really want to go into the history. Let's talk about how back in the day when California was starting up their police force, they was coming down to the South to recruit people.
Mm. You
So
mean
if we want to
white
talk about it,
individuals to come in and help keep certain people in check?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many guys. There's so many. And I'm gonna bring up Andrew. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Welcome to the discussion. There's so many good documentaries right now. Good to see you, brother.
Hello.
That you know what I would recommend, guys. The Will Smith Netflix documentary on the 14th Amendment. So good. because it talks about some of this history, some of the history I still am learning when it comes to even why so many people were not allowed to be police officers, except for obviously white men, for the first few hundred years of like the country. And beyond that, some of the institutionalized structures, not only racial but otherwise, that kind of keep perpetuating this order or hierarchy.
Yes.
Or how people see other human beings.
Facts.
It's a lot. Watch it's called the 14th. I feel like I need to do a show on the 14th Amendment just because of it. Everybody knows
Me
the first
too.
and the
Yeah,
second,
13.
but the 14th is what gave us equality, so to speak, or at least under the law anyway, supposedly under the law. Andrew,
unless you commit a crime.
Right, and until you are exactly given back to, what should I say, servitude, by way of being guilty of a crime. How are you, Andrew? How do you want to jump in? Just jump on in, sir. What are your thoughts today?
Well, real quick, like my father was an officer in Jamaica, so it's a different set of things over there. They don't play.
Yeah, no.
You know, let me tell you something. They don't romp with certain things. World class. Where are you from?
Baltimore. He said be more.
Oh, well, that's real. That's a whole other element.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a different world. Like every part of the country has a different rapport with their police officers. I'm in Brooklyn, so you get the mixture. In the 90s, it was kind of hot. You had those officers that would sometimes drink on the job or whatever. Fine. You had some messed up bad eggs, but it wasn't the majority of people. You have people that tend to be more sympathetic. I think that they have to federalize the education requirement for law enforcement, because you have people that are not getting the training. I think in that part of the country, I was trying to look it up. They said their police academy was 3 hours a week for 9 weeks or whatever. And I don't understand what the
foolish. A man who could carry a weapon and delete people.
Don't quote me on that person, but when I was trying to look it up, I'm like, what are the requirements? Like in New York, you have to have a certain level of education, you know? And I feel that we as a group have to participate more. We have to train to try to self-police, like you said, but at the same time, we have to participate. Whether it's being an ombudsman, I know Suzette speaks about politics. We have to go into centers of control.
Or police advisory boards, things like this. Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. Like I happen to be in a group in Brooklyn with a lot of law enforcement. And to be honest with you, those guys are sympathetic. There are things they like, there are things they don't like. But we can't promote and do foolish things within ourselves. Because before we look out, we have to look from within. They always tend to go after the people that tend to be not your average person. They look at the guys that are more gentle and soft. Those are the ones that seem to be dying.
Exactly.
The guys, that's what's bothering me.
You talk about when you see the videos, is people that are going after, or police officers that are going after people who are more vulnerable.
Yeah, in general. Well, not saying all police officers.
No, but in the stories that are making headlines. Understood.
Yeah, like look, the young man that had I forget his name. He was asphyxiated. They injected something into him and he died.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, the guy that was playing the violin to the cats.
He did not fit the person in our demographic that would.
Was it Elijah McClain?
Yeah.
The fact that anybody on the side of the road would take a medicine and inject someone's spinal cord with it is beyond me.
I look at these poor guys and I go into certain areas because I'm New York. We have our problems, but that's a whole new level. Like you don't want to be in Staten Island. You know what I mean? Certain parts. We have our part, but that's a whole new level. I'm 260 something pounds. So what are they gonna do to me?
So are you saying like you came up during the stop and frisk era of Giuliani days?
I came up way before that. Like I'm 46, 47. So I've been around for a minute. I've seen everything. And I've seen when we were kind of rah-rah and then things went up because we listen. I think it's a double-edged sword. This young brother didn't call for it. He was driving competently. So his situation is totally different. He didn't deserve to suffer the way he did. My issue is that we have to aggressively kind of protect one another and change the way we approach them. Even though they're doing the wrong, we have to almost, I don't want to say be weak, but sometimes you have to know what we're against too.
Wait. We, the black community, or give me who is the
No, hear me out, because I don't want to confuse anything, because I understand where we're coming from. I'm trying to figure out how we can approach these situations, because sometimes in this situation, if someone's dragging me out like that, I don't know how
because
I don't know how I would react. And if they drag that poor guy out there, They know they could overpower him. What are you going to do? What's your option?
Right.
No, and he was right near his home. I mean, I try to put myself in that situation, and I don't know what I would do. It's the first time that I'm speechless because I don't know how would I react. Like world class, just talking. Like, how would you approach it? Because if I was his condition, his build, with his ailments and the way he
Right.
was,
And
how would I
somebody
react?
run up to your car, open your door, and drag you out, throw you on the ground, you're gonna be shocked. You literally gonna be like, "What is happening?" You're not.
It's like my mom taught me like this: when you talking to them police officers, you got to talk to them like you talking to a savage beast.
Yes,
like a lion. Because
that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have no misunderstanding. They criminals. Like they us. Like I don't look at them no different. I'm always washing their hands. So hey, yeah, we can get lit.
So
like to anybody else.
He said,
hold on now, just talk. What you say? Your mama say talk to them like you talking to a savage beast.
But like if you come across like a bear or a lion or a vicious dog, the first thing you do is you put your hands up and you trying to not like give them any kind of fear. You're not trying to give them no kind of
okay, make yourself big.
You're not even that. You're not even trying to show any aggression. You want to let them know like, hey, okay, Mr. Bear, you got it. All right.
Like slowly put like if it's a bear about to attack you, you move slow, no sudden movement. I get what you're saying now. Okay, I follow what you're saying now.
So when Andrew say, what can you do in that situation? It's just like asking, what can I do in the situation when I'm getting mauled by a bear?
Okay, I get your point. Now.
It honestly, because we're talking about we got to be more reasonable. We got to be more calm. We got to be more selective. But soon as we say something like, "Excuse me, sir, what's your name and badge number?"
It's over.
Pull out your phone and start recording. All common sense and all morality is out the window with them. So
I hear you.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to have court on the side of the road with them. They're not attorneys. They do not 999 of them out of 1,000 don't know law at all. Not even a little bit. All they know is what they were trained to do. I promise you. And then people be like, "Oh, that's weird." Okay, when you go to court, that's why you shouldn't have court with them on the side. When you go to court, they don't be them same people in the streets, and they don't know what the hell they be talking about. They're not them same people. They learn how to behave in the courtroom. They be them, like I said earlier, they be chumps in court. They don't be the same guy you just seen a week ago or 2 weeks ago in court over.
So you think this is a product of like, so back to your point, Noble, when you said you think mostly beta behavior, not alpha behavior, is displayed here.
It's a false compensation.
So you think that's what it is? You think it's adrenaline? Like when you saw or parts, Andrew, did you watch the video?
Oh, I watched the whole thing a few times.
All the different videos?
No, here's the thing that gets me, and I'm not trying to cut you off, world class, but I just want to get this out before I forget. I'm a little older now. It's this. I agree that there are certain officers that tend to have a weaker mindset or trying to compensate for their past. But the truth is, there are a lot of great officers out there, and they don't get the sunlight. Like a lot of 190% of us, 95% of us are great, straight, honest, working people just trying to make ends meet and live a good life. But the few of us that are there are the ones that are pushed to the forefront, making it bad for all of us overall. And then my other question was, what kind of people did these law enforcement officers engage with? Were they staying within their community? Did they live outside the community? Did they have a prejudice against their own type of people? Those are questions I'd like to answer. I don't know what their family dynamics are.
I can't wait to hear from some of these officers on the stand, bro.
No, I want to hear about their families, who they're dating,
or their dynamics. Okay,
yes, that's
if they're
what
of
really
Memphis or where they lived, and I hear you. I hear you.
It's no mystery that the police officers have the highest domestic abuse rates.
I saw that in the chat too. Did you write that in the chat?
No, this has been going on for
somebody else write that. I don't have the facts, but go ahead.
It's been over 10 years.
Yep,
that's been the situation. That's an old. It hasn't changed.
Say what you're saying again.
That police officers have the highest domestic abuse rates
out of all other professions.
They beat their wives, in their wives' lives, in their children's lives, in themselves. All of those statistics, they number one. They live a unreasonable, violent life. It doesn't really. And now we understand it when the shots fired, you're driving to the shots. I understand that. but you're not the only ones in this country that do that.
Mm.
You have Green Berets who are getting trained at a level you don't even know exists. Who can function in foreign countries with better trained people. Like the military, each and every one of them have a better rule of engagement than our own domestic.
But I think that also
law
goes back to what we're talking about in terms of the aptitude and quality of candidate. If you become a Navy SEAL, oh baby, they've tried and tested you. If you become even an FBI agent, it's very stringent to become a federal police officer.
Yeah.
You got to take lie detectors. You got to do all kinds of background. Your neighbor got to say you was a good kid when you was a good kid. Like
sheriff.
There should be a federal standard. There should be a federal standard.
Yes, I think I agree with that, because I think we're going back to like the level of person from neighborhood to neighborhood varies greatly depending on the part of the country you're in. And so that they're not always equipped. Where are we asking, as Nathan Daly, I wish he would come up here, too much of our officers because they're not really equipped.
Look, if it was that,
asking them to do, yes, go ahead.
Suzette, if it was that, then why isn't it a high incident rate with bail bondsmen or bounty hunters or just regular security guards? If it's not enough funding, why they're not capping somebody or mall cops?
So you're saying that there's a cultural, systemic, entrenched type of, which I just say, like structural,
regional.
Everything below them, below police and city and county police officers, and above them, they're not doing what the city
and functioning in a different way. Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Everybody around
there's a type of mindset within those departments. I hear what you're saying. Andrew, can you answer Miss Globe Girl? I'm not understanding how police in JA or Brooklyn are different. Your experience with them based on age and race may be different. Are they different?
Way different. In
they
Jamaica,
don't have no check and balance in Jamaica. Go ahead, Andrew. Let them know. I think it's different.
You don't do certain crimes in Jamaica, you might not make it to the jailhouse or court.
They're not even coming to look for you, bro.
Nope.
You already in the bushes. You chuck off in a stream or a river already.
A truck tire.
Listen, I feel bad and I don't condone it, but trust me, especially my family that's from like the hood side, the shoot ask questions later, and they just throw the dead body in the back of a pickup truck and drive off.
Yep.
The police, when they come, it's not even like there's no what should I say, rule of law the way we understand it here in America.
Like I'm in a club where I'm with an alliance club with a lot of law enforcement, and to be honest with you, they're really cool cats, and they understand the demographics that they work with. They try to work with the kids. In New York, our police departments have psychological care. They really try to go out and work with the community. So I'm not going to go knock them. I can't do that. You don't see, like, you might see one thing on TV. That's not the majority.
No, they're trying to. It's a stressful job, right?
It is.
If you
they burn out.
Yeah, and maybe you need to cycle them off. Even they were saying with the so-called Scorpion unit, they work like 8 weeks off, 8 weeks on. Maybe they need to work 5 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever.
Maybe they should have. I think that they should have officers that are educated in social work on every shift, so they can help deal with those things.
A social worker or a mental health.
No. You need to make them law enforcement because they need to have the power of arrest. They need to be armed if anything happens, and they'll be able to protect themselves and go home. So you should have
officers. The problem with that, though, with that is that the people that you asking to do that, they don't have a problem what happened to Tyree. They don't have a problem what happened to Elijah McClain. They can get on the camera. And even when they in a press conference, when they don't release footage, when they don't fire and let them go on administrative leave, it's like the people that's in charge that has this in place, they're fine with it. We, the people, we're not fine with it. So we're talking about going to a system, going into a building that doesn't want us in there. We're talking about a system that is designed for this. Let's keep it 100. If we gonna keep it 100, let's keep it 100. When from the time they became slave catchers up until now, when did their ideology change? When did their cultural influence or anything change? It hasn't.
It has, because I'm not meaning to cut you off. It has, because when the collective group came to more socialist actions where it became paid by the state, that's when it was. Those same people were working per case and freelance. They were technically bounty hunters at that time. Let's keep it a buck. They got
Okay,
rewarded for
okay.
each person
So going
captured.
off of your
So right
numbers
now,
right
no,
here,
hear me. I'm with you on that. But
you
my thing is
said
this.
you said that 90% of the guys in the police force are good guys. It's just the 10% that they're bringing out in the forefront. So
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say
that's
this straight up and down. You know
He's
why I say
saying
that?
where he live in Brooklyn.
Yeah. And I'm saying I can speak for where I live in my state and the parts of the state that I come from. That's what I could speak on. You know what I mean, sir?
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak about anywhere else. But the truth is, in people in general, there's always that small few that makes the noise. You always have that one person in the group that causes the most of the trouble, and it brings trouble to other people. So you cannot make everyone bad. You can't do that. If you think that way, there will be no
But
society.
that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, how are you letting, if you're saying that the majority or the collective is feeling this way, but 10%, the minority, is ruling it all, and not just in one city or one town. This is across the country. We can go and point out unarmed black people being killed in every state.
I can
So
say that
how is
I
it that
agree.
90% is letting 10% them when that
Point
This
well taken. Andrew, go
I
ahead and
got
respond.
you. I'm so sorry. My thing is this. One, it depends what area, what demographic, where you're going. Because I know in certain neighborhoods, the people around the neighborhood will only take so much before they react and respond. There'll be force that's applied in return. You know, there's a reaction to it. Now, in certain areas, people are not aware of their full rights. In New York, we're pretty savvy. We're modern. We have a lot of things. We have cameras. Let's be honest. In 2023, everything is camera, lights, action. You're done. I have to think of my own impulse. If someone does something foolish to me, I have to think for a moment. Am I going to go give them the backhand right there on the camera? I don't want to do that. You have to be mindful of
what's
when.
wrong?
Hmm? Yeah, you just have to be careful. It's just now everything is on camera. That's why we could argue. We have a voice because it's being recorded. It can be done live. Everything is real time now. Up to the weather, we know what's going on. If someone drops a pen in China, you could hear it in Brooklyn. It doesn't matter. It's not the same world. They're forced to be more accountable. But I understand there are parts of the country where it's harder for them to get those protections. So my question is, and my case is, what can we do to control? So the only way we can do it is take action and take control of those areas and entities that control those forces and put these people in place to be empowered. We need to regulate how people get trained. If they don't have any education in de-escalation, they're not going to have it. I bet if you correlate the areas that have
Or
a
if
lot
they
of
have
problems,
one strike, you're out. Some of these people they move to a new jurisdiction and get back a job.
but that's why, like you said, there should be a database.
I think
And
so.
I think that's why I think the federalization of the base training should be there. There should be an academy for 2 weeks or something where all of them go to train, and then you come down to your lower level because that's the only way you get it done.
You think they'll ever do that, guys? I don't know why because it seems like, okay, that makes sense. We should just do this. And they haven't done it. Why do you think there's no political will? I like what Rockstone says. A solution is to require malpractice insurance whose individual premiums go up for each cop. Again, getting rid of qualified immunity is canceled directly to cover the inevitable wrongful death. You know how much taxpayer money get paid out by cities
They
and
already got
counties
that.
and states?
They already have that.
They have individual law enforcement insurance?
Not in New York.
I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
all of them have bonds that you can file against. All of them. Judges, all of them. Everybody has a bond. That's why one of my brothers that
If that's
study
the
law, he
case,
said, that's why one of my brothers that study law, he says, it's always dumb for the people to be celebrating when Freddie Gray get money because you just sued the state. So the
You
people just
paying
pay
it,
for
your
that.
tax money paying it. Listen, these people don't
Don't
understand.
keep.
It's us. We're covering for what that bad apple. It's in budgets now for what that person has done. Let me see. Sandy W asked, and again, Sandy, thank you for coming up on the panel. Says, question for the panel: what one thing would you change as a citizen to change the dynamics in your area? So if you could change something about, I guess, policing, any parts of that, structure, extended structure, what one thing would you change as a citizen to change the dynamics in your area? Good question, Sandy W.
Education, real education, world-class education. I mean that. That's why I named the channel. I named it World Class Education. That's the only thing that's going to change. I'm a guy named Jim Rome. He said, if you get an idiot and you motivate them, now all you have is a motivated idiot.
Well,
Can't just keep doing stuff with passion. You have to do stuff with precision.
what would you say? Just talking ish. Hey, Miss AKA lady. Bye.
I would say education, but since he already said that, I have to say the police. We have to learn how to police ourselves. If we really want to go towards it, people make more excuses for the police, and we know their origins, but they'll quick to downplay a gang, and we know where their origins are. We know why the Crips started. Community and resistance. We know why their origins, but we downplay our own, and then we give so many excuses for somebody because they got a badge. And just like you said, we paying the tax dollars for the family to get paid once they lose their loved ones. We also paying the money to the killers too.
Amen.
Yeah,
so at the end of the day, we it's all about money. Let's keep it 100. These police officers has quotas. They got a certain amount of people they got to pull over, arrest, give tickets to. They have quota systems. So when it's backed by money, yeah, I'm going to pull you over. I'm going to talk to you reckless. I'm going to violate you. And then I'm going to say you was in the wrong. And I'm going to find my lawyer, my DA to put some charges on you saying that, oh, you was resisting arrest or you was failure to show an ID. But we going to overlook us bashing your head in and the stitches that you need. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We talking about the police, and they're the problem. They're not the whole problem. The whole problem is the system. Well, we talking about an educational system because they bring the police in there. We talking about the political system because the police is involved in that as well. We talking about the judicial system. Any system is made to keep us down. So we talking about going in today's system and trying to make some changes and make things right for us. If I'm gonna keep it real, if we ain't talking about starting our own system, what's the point of us even talking about this? Because I guarantee you, this is January. We're not even at the first month of 2023. You think this is the only black person gonna get killed by the police this year?
This month?
This month?
We've had they say over 40 mass shootings already since the beginning of the year, and we're not even done with the first month. I hear you. Points well taken. Points well taken. Wow. We have a couple more comments, y'all. I guess, I don't know, maybe some predictions of what happens in this case or what y'all think it might happen as far as the outcomes for these 5 now accused officers. Lisa, not feeling you, Andrew. He said, dude from Brooklyn is obviously biased towards the Babylon friend.
Well, one thing I have to tell Miss Babylon here is one thing. Hold on. You want to chat to me? You got to know me properly. We do that. Don't go there with me. My nickname is Bellicose for a reason. You understand? I know my vernacular and things. Here's the whole thing. Number one, the one thing you must free yourself is from mental slavery, which means the foolishness that we do collectively, the image that we portray to us collectively, obviously cause people to react a certain way. So if we act foolish in certain ways, they're going to generalize the poor innocent person that is not acting foolish, that happens to be different because one, he might not be as aggressive or come off with so much machismo. We have to learn how to be accountable within our communities and within ourselves. Accountability is the key to correction. And if we do so collectively from within ourselves, we participate, we take over and take command of things within our communities, that's when you have your chat. Other than that, sit down. Because if you don't vote, you don't run, you don't move, wait. That's what it is. And I don't like that.
Andrew said he's not partial. We just not doing what we need to do.
You know what I mean? No, hold my thing. My name is for real. I earned. That was my nickname in military school. So my thing is, you respect your mother, you respect the cop. If they don't treat you bad, you cool. If they give you a problem, I nod my head. Remember your badge number. And then when I talk to the right person, then I'm going to get you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So when you talk to the right person, you can't even get the form to put the complaint in.
Excuse me?
They know you got video evidence.
Well, what he's saying is the system's still going to be corrupted at some level. I hear what you're saying. Just talk issue.
But there's ways to hold
by the police. Your progress gonna get stopped by the DA. Your progress gonna get stopped by qualified immunity.
Well, we know how to deal with that.
About going back to the system.
We know, but we, like I'm saying, we know how to deal with all of that. We just gotta get y'all to survive the first encounter. The rest of the stuff is easy.
Amen. Well said.
All right,
Okay.
Cindy W's comment says, Suzette speaks. Another problem is throughout the training. One of the classes my local academy offers is sort of a creative reporting class. They learn to use the same verbiage in all the reports. Yes, the reporting. Cover your butt. People are afraid to lose their jobs. They're writing the same thing. Resisted arrest. Thought he had drugs.
Gun.
Or exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have our authority then to move accordingly. But thank God, if you are actually going to turn it on, we have body cam or the overhead camera in this case save the day, because we know we would have gotten a whole different narrative if it was only based on what we saw. But those body cameras that were on still told enough of the story for me listening to what was going on. Yeah, I'm going to read a few more comments. We're going to take final comments, guys. Great discussion with the brothers here. The world class Just Talking Ish and Andrew Walker, aka Mr. Bellicose himself. Let me see. Will says you'll never be able to get a quality candidates for a life-threatening position for 50,000. He's like, let's just call it a good day. That's
man, that number ain't true, man. That number ain't true.
Oh yeah, that 50,000 not real, but that, I mean, I get this. His premise is correct. I mean, but that's why you have people protect their own lives, because you can't pay me to protect my life. It's priceless.
I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be honest. I used to do security, and like we had to go through qualifications to get our blue card to be able to use our firearm while we at work. All of those things. So I worked with like Homeland Security, and I was even recruited by a police department to go to a police academy and all that stuff. And off rip, they sat here and told me, in your first year, working the job and doing like, you know, off-duty security jobs and stuff, where you just standing around, you can clear 6 figures.
Yeah, minimum. Yeah, facts.
So this whole thing about they're not making enough money, they need more money. Like, just like bro was saying, we got people going over to foreign countries and they not sitting here saying, oh, the white soldiers from America. They saying the soldiers from America. And they not sitting here like, it's not a stigmatism on like, this one race came after me because of my skin tone. When we can sit there and say that with our people right now, that we got sayings called driving while black. So again, like I get people saying like, yo, they not making enough money. Nobody's gonna put their life on the line. That's excuses
You're not buying
that
it.
they're making. They are getting training, and the training that they're getting from the lawyers is how to continue to do the stuff that you're doing.
Okay.
So all that, they need training, they need more money. That's false. We need to stop that, bro.
I think it's a great thing, because if you look at police officers, like he was just saying, those little gigs they do, you get around people that's making your making your salary a year. I mean, they making what you make a yearly salary, they make a month or a week. And you know, you're around these people and you just a cop. You know what I'm saying? And I think they get a little arrogant, and then they go rob a drug dealer and hide the money.
Lord have mercy. Yeah, we're going to wrap up in just a little bit. Lisa says that one more thing that could change all policing is requiring a police to be licensed and have a financial consequence. That's what we're saying, tied to individual costs. They should be insured, just like that. That's what the point you were making, or another person was making. Once they can't afford the insurance, they'll quit deleting folks willy-nilly. Thank you. Black Lexicon says, I watched the OJ style 1.5 hour LA police chase yesterday. During the chase, he stole 2 vehicles. Popo shot his vehicle. He was not harmed and threatened with kit gloves when put on into the squad car. Now listen, this is the hard part for me too. If the victim or the person who was being stopped is of a certain race, they know how to take people alive. They know how to bring people in. The 2 Asian perpetrators in California recently, just this month, where there was a mass shooting at a dance hall and then a mass shooting at like a mushroom farm. The dude from the mushroom farm, they basically took him out the car and just laid him on the ground. I was like,
Can I ask you a question? One question. Have you ever seen a black criminal get arrested and taken out to get something to eat before they go to the run?
Given Burger King after you have a mass shooting.
And
It
this
is a
is how they
crazy
show they
thing.
know how to be humane and they know how to take people in without incident. So that's why I'm saying, y'all, people telling me, oh, it's the training, they need more money, it's this, you need to learn how to comply, we got to talk to them certain right way. We've seen school shooters go in and
Nicholas
their
Cruz
mugshot
was
not
sitting
a
on the
scratch
front
on them.
lawn chilling after he shot up Parkland School.
But we got people that's showing that they're strong and compassionate at the initial stop, but then all of a sudden they end up committing, unaliving themselves in their cell.
Yeah.
Long live Sandra Bland. Let's keep it 100, y'all.
Yeah.
So we know what they're capable of doing. They show us, even with the 5 officers. This happened on the 7th. Charges was issued on the 27th?
Yeah.
So
which is quick for the norm. Normally it would have been.
Saying. They about to make an example out these 5 black dudes.
Oh, okay.
So they can hide behind the saying, oh, well, we do punish our own when they do wrong.
And I want to say this, and I'm gonna hop off.
Yeah, we're about to.
To your last point, on what we think will happen with the case.
Thank you.
They'll be indicted, but I think what's more importantly, what's going to happen is former cases that they were on, where somebody may have complained about brutality with those 5 officers. I think you'll see some reduced sentences, and you'll probably see some settlements that come from that. And that might be a bigger precedent set than anything else. Attorneys will be able to look to take advantage of that going forward.
Got you. No, but who is in that top left corner of your screen?
Me.
That's you in the corner right there.
That's beautiful marketing. I was
like,
my boy will be marketing for real.
Shout out to my Boricuas. Shout out to all of my
That's you with the glasses on right there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
With a haircut.
Oh, I'm like, who is on Noble's camera?
So what you thought was my husband or something?
No. I was like, who on Noble's show when he on my show?
That's me.
No, I'm sorry. I just noticed that. I kept seeing the world class pop up.
You need to take notes. You gotta take those notes. You gotta take those notes.
I see him doing this thing, y'all. Go and subscribe to the world class Noble in the building. Thank you for coming through today and adding so much to today's conversation and your personal stories. I really, really appreciate that. That's very eye-opening for a lot of people who don't know what it's like living in certain areas of the country. I appreciate you, brother. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, my favorite.
Thank you. See you soon. Final comments, gentlemen. Let's wrap. Just talking. First of all, let me acknowledge Doug. Thank you, Doug, again for your love and your super chat on today's stream. He's on the YouTube side saying the police unions are the biggest enablers. His thoughts. Thank you, Doug. Any comments on that or any further predictions of what may happen in this case with Tyree Nichols?
I believe that they're going to make an example out of these 5 black officers. I'm under the impressions that if you're going to give a white girl 10 years for killing a black dude, you're going to give a white dude 20 years for killing a black dude. What you think they're going to give a black dude for killing a black dude? So my whole thing is that they're going to make an example out of them, but at the end of the day, nothing's going to get fixed. No matter what we protest, no matter who we go and elect, because we can get a black person in there that used to be an officer that understands both sides, and then you get an Eric Adams. So
Lord have mercy. Don't open that can. Andrew loves America. Andrew loves America Adams up in there in New York. Okay. But appreciate you just talking issue. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your insights, your experiences and thoughts today. Appreciate you as always coming up. All right. You're welcome up here anytime. Okay.
Thank you. You have a blessed one. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend.
All right. Take care. Y'all, this has been a fun show. Although the topic is heavy. Y'all lighten up my spirit, and I really appreciate the brothers who have come up. And thank you again, Sandy W, for coming up and expressing yourself. Thank you, Vondell as well. Just talking ish and Noble, and of course Andrew. Y'all see his channel name, y'all. Please go over there and subscribe.
We're not ready yet.
Bellicose.
How you doing?
Himself. So your final thoughts today?
No, I mean I learned some things from the other gentlemen's perspectives, and I could be more sympathetic to those things. But what I learned more so than anything else is we have to be eternally vigilant. We have to try to make sure that we survive any interactions that we get into. no matter where we are. But as well as doing this, we have to do better as a group, because the images that we show our children, we show our families, it's tenfold worse to other groups that are not with us on a regular basis. So when they encounter us, they're going to be more hostile towards us. We have to change the narrative a little bit. I think that's part of it, and no matter what we do, the innocent people are the ones that suffer the most.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, for real. There's a lot more we could say about it. I'm gonna have to leave it there. Andrew, I always appreciate you as always. Thanks for stopping in his you in your basement. I love it. I appreciate you coming through,
Brooklyn basement,
offering your perspectives, brother. Good to see you. All right, we'll talk soon. Thank you, Andrew. Y'all, always a wonderful experience when you guys come up and share and speak to me and let me know, especially coming from the gentleman today. Because again, how Black male bodies are policed is quite different. And oftentimes, even we as women don't necessarily understand to the extent, starting so early, 8, 9, 10, 12, of what your experience and your interaction is like with law enforcement, and how things like this are not uncommon. Again, we see these big headlines and we think, oh, there's one more. No. On a daily basis, there are people that are having these interactions. So we have to do a lot more work. What Just Talking Ish may say, outside the system, I say also within the system. I do still think we do need good people that join law enforcement agencies. That's my solution. You still need good people. We need folks that have good, solid sense of self and morals and understanding community in these ranks, and leadership that reflects that, the values that the people have, not just what has been maintained, as Just Talking Ish was saying, over the centuries, literally, as far as like core values. We need real change in terms of structure, and that's going to take time. I don't have all the answers. That's definitely going to take time. But again, my prayers to the family, my prayers to all who have been impacted. There's going to be more discussion of this case as it moves forward. There's a quote I saw, y'all. I just want to share it before I go. And I saw this. This was also on Viola Davis's Instagram today. Damon, thank you for listening. I appreciate you joining me, sir. He says, Black men deserve to grow old. It hit me in my stomach when I read it, because I'm like, there are people that are, we mentally assent to this, we agree to this, but we don't understand how much obstacles to this are within our current, you wouldn't call it societal structures. And one of those is in policing as a structure that prevents us from seeing men like a Tyree Nichols grow old. We gotta combat that, right? Everyone deserves to grow old. We have places in our country that the life expectancy in poor Black neighborhoods are 20 years less than the average of the American citizen, any other American citizen. So we're going to keep eyes and ears on what's happening, both structurally and in this case in specific. I want to thank y'all for rocking with me. What a wonderful discussion with everybody. The Tyree Nichols reaction. If you were watching Team Replay, if you're watching a replay, go ahead and leave your comment below. Let me know. Hit the like button, y'all, before you go. Thank you again to everyone who is a part of my Patreon network, those who join me for behind the scenes. I'm editing a piece, guys, of a speech I gave last weekend for my Patreon members to kind of enjoy, see me in action when Suzette is speaking out to the community. I have a Black History Month event I'll be emceeing this week, and a couple more throughout the month. So I look forward to sharing that. You can join my Patreon, going to patreon.com/SuzetteSpeaks, or you can support the stream through CashAPP, $SuzetteSpeaks, as well as Super Chat. I really appreciate you, Doug. Thank you for giving. Thank you, Kent, for giving today and for supporting my content, y'all. Until next time, thank you so much to Jamaicans.com for sponsoring me and for allowing me to co-broadcast on your platform each and every Saturday. Appreciate you. I will be trying to go live. I have to send my computer, guys, to get serviced. Dr. Thunder, what's up? I have a interviewee for you, possibly. Good to see you, sir. Hope all is well. I'm going to email you, Dr. Thunder. There's a couple people I want to see if you guys are interested in interviewing as I get ready for my February And hopefully, like, my computer issue gets cleared up by then, so I can just be rocking them interviews left and right, y'all. But I miss everybody. I hope everybody's well. Happy New Year if I haven't seen you, Andre. Yes, we need better people, just people in general. Core value people that can stand up. It's going to take a lot of people standing up. Thank you for being on here today with me, the world class. It's always a joy having you on, brother. Thank you very much. Black Lexicon said there's probably more where we see these brothers come from on the Memphis Police Department. We'll see. I'm glad, again, Department of Justice and the FBI are on the ground there doing some investigating and seeing what else can be uncovered, either maybe within this case or other cases. There are so many people. Thank you. I want to thank for watching, guys. Nandy says, you live in Australia. Wow. And I work sometimes with the police. Wow. I come to realize they are not very smart, her experience. And I think in black and white, that they also think in black and white. It's crazy because in life there is very much gray. You have to deal with nuance. That's 100% true. Great point, Nandy, that we don't come in this world with just like everything just this way or that way. You might have an exception to the rule. You might have a condition about you physically, mentally that needs, adjusting in terms of how I'm interpreting the set of facts in front of me and how I react to the set of facts in front of me. We need deep thinkers, right? Good-hearted people, good moral standard, but thinkers. I agree with you for sure. That can decipher what is needed in this specific scenario. I know I was taught this, but what do I see right now? Critical thinking skills, being at the utmost importance. We got to find people that can do that. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate you. Yes, Jeff, this is what I was talking about. The kid from the Parkland was, Nicholas Cruz was taken to darn lunch after he had shot how many people? So they know how to do it. If they don't want to use excessive force, there's a way. But again, does it apply when the bodies of the person who is the victim is black? And what can we do so that it does apply equally? We're not going to kill people delete people, for a traffic stop, for a broken tail light, for driving so-called recklessly. This is not what we do in America. But again, our systems can be corrupted by individuals that perpetuate certain inhumanity and craziness, quite frankly. So we're going to deal with this case as more comes forward, y'all. Again, take care of yourselves, take care of your mind, be careful watching too much of this stuff. You don't want to internalize it. But again, I think we still have to bring it to the fore. It needs to be talked about, right? We're not sweeping this one under the rug. I don't care what the people look like, the officers look like. I appreciate you so very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Sandy, for coming up. Y'all know I love a long goodbye. Thank you for watching. Thank you, RM. I appreciate you being here, sis. And thank you also, Doug. Fantastic job. Nandy from Australia. Big up yourself, sis. Thank you for showing some love on the super chat. Joy having you. I noticed on my YouTube audience for the first time I'm getting like Aussies. I was like, Australians are watching me? Hey. Or people in Australia. I was so impressed. I was like, wow, I have a very diverse group of people. United Kingdom, shout out to anybody watching. Shout out to Canada, Australia, and I have 0.6% in Germany. Shout out to anybody watching live or team replay from Germany, Australia, Canada, and UK. It's a joy. What a privilege to have this technology to be able to talk to people from around the world and have these type of discussions. Last but not least, thank you again, Nandy. I appreciate you on the super chat and showing love today. Thank you for your support, sis. I really do appreciate that. And don't forget, each and every Wednesday, you can go on my community tab. If you're on Facebook, go over to YouTube. If you're on Facebook side, go over to YouTube, look up SuzetteSpeaks and subscribe, right? Go over to YouTube. And you can see on my community tab on YouTube where I post my shows that I do on Roland Martin, right? You can catch me live on Roland Martin's 1 million subscriber channel every Wednesday from 3 to 5 on a show called The Culture with Faraji Muhammad. It's been a joy. Great discussions over there, guys. Really appreciate all of you, however you support. Don't long stroke me. Let me long stroke, Doug. Let me say goodbye to my people. Bye for real. No. Thank you, Michael. Listening while going to work. Big up yourself. Thank you, Michael. appreciate you. Thanks for sharing on the Facebook side. Yes, hey Lisa, I forgot girl. I have things for you. Yes, so glad you found my channel. Yay. Thank you for coming over and subscribing. Great discussions. A little sporadic start to January. Don't worry, guys. February, we lined it up. Again, I've had a little bit of technical issues with my laptop. I think I'm gonna have to really I was trying to do, you have to troubleshoot sometimes over the phone, but I really do think I'm gonna have to send this boy in or a girl, whatever it is. And I don't want to do a live from my phone. I may do a practice maybe on my Patreon. It's just see how it looks, if I can manage doing the live, because I like watching your comments here and doing it on my phone as well. So when I have to use my phone as my camera, I don't know how I'm going to be able to, switch and toggle and see the comments the way I like to kind of get you guys involved. So Doug, I appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Bye for real now. Appreciate you. Big up yourselves. Go subscribe and like. Yeah. Listen, it's a hardware issue. I thought it was a software issue, Black Lexicon. It's a hardware issue. So I think I'm going to have to send it to them people. I got a warranty at the Dell. So I'm going to have to send it in. Long story short, things are cool. It's just, again, want to set up my schedule, but I don't want to schedule people if I don't know my hardware is going to be cooperating as I need it to. So February, we rocking, y'all. Appreciate you watching. Okay, bye for real. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate your support. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.